From the talk of the town to the whisper of the village.
Count to number 4, please.
Breaking global sports news and the answers to questions you never even thought to ask.
Has anyone got a spoon for my kiwi fruit?
The Two Mikes
Just like in that film.
on Talk Sport.
Look at the light.
You worry too much about the time.
Yeah, no, I worry about it. You don't recognise Scar when you hear it?
Who?
Scar.
Scar?
Scar.
What, S-C-A-R?
No, S-K-A.
Eh? S-K-A?
K-A.
Scar?
Scar. It was
Where are
a
they
type
from?
of-
They Scandinavian or something? Guess what I'm going to get my sister this year?
What?
I'm going to buy her a red telephone box for her back garden.
A red telephone
yeah,
box?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. It's a piece of British heritage.
Has it got a phone in it?
No, of course not. Well, don't be ridiculous. Of course I've got a phone in it. Why would I
Why
have
would
a
you
phone?
give somebody a phone box without a phone in it?
Because I've told you it's a piece of British heritage. Tom Jones has got one in his back garden in California.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. Thanks to Georgie Bingham and Jason Cunliffe for the Sports Bar. They'll be back at 10 o'clock, of course, tonight. It's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Good to be here with you.
Very
after
nice to see you again.
Your weekend shenanigans. Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice to see you as well. And those list of stories that we've got to get stuck into
Yeah.
tonight, that's going to be very, very interesting.
It is.
But there is a major story we've got to get to before we do all
Is there?
that, okay?
Okay, all right.
And I'll just read out this tweet, because it didn't half amuse me. I
Yeah,
mean,
go on.
it's very basic and
Yeah.
it's very childish, really.
Is this
but-
something that came in on at the Two Mikes?
No, this is about your mirror in your car. That old
You're still
jalopy
going on
you've got
about that?
downstairs.
You're not still going on about the mirror in the car?
The mirror fell off, just to remind our listeners. So you're
last
driving along.
Thursday. Last Thursday we're talking about, nearly a week ago.
And the mirror falls off
Yeah.
and falls actually into your lap, and then you've got no way of seeing
Well, no, it
what's
fell
going on
onto the
behind
dashboard,
you.
actually.
Yeah, it smashed on the dashboard, then into your
Yeah.
lap. And so Tim sends in this great email. Tim sends in this tweet and he says, hi, Porky. Old MG's mirror, it fell off, eh? Was he looking at it? Was he looking into it at the time? I thought, excellent. It
That's
fell
really
off.
tickled you, hasn't
No,
it?
it's really tickled
I've
me
never seen you so happy.
because he's trying to insinuate you're so blinking ugly
Yeah.
that you even smash mirrors even in your own car.
Well, of course, unfortunately for him and you, the mirror hasn't actually smashed. It's just fallen out of his...
Right, so what have you done with it? What have you done with it?
Well, I can tell you exactly what's happened to it since
Yes.
then, if you wish.
Yes.
On Friday morning, the executive producer manfully got inside the car because he's much better at these kind of things than I am.
Yeah.
And he fixed it for me. So
Right.
he found that there was two little grooves, right?
Yeah, but it's fallen off again since.
Hang on. Two little grooves,
Yeah.
and he attached it into the two little grooves. And I drove it home, and it was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And then I drove it out Friday afternoon to go and pick a couple of things up, and it was
Yes.
absolutely fine. Saturday, sadly,
Yes.
As I was halfway down to Sussex, it
fell out again?
fell down again, yeah.
Well, why on earth didn't you? I mean, you're a complete idiot because if you'd have
How am I a
just
complete idiot?
because
How
if
is
you,
this only my fault?
I'm telling you, it's your fault. If you don't know how to fix a mirror that's gone wrong when you've been shown
Well, you
how to
wouldn't-
fix it in the
well, you
first
wouldn't know
place.
how to fix it.
I'll tell you what I'd have done.
You would have gone to Mercedes, wouldn't you?
Rubbish. If I was in a Mercedes car, I would.
Well,
but
I am
yours
in a
is-
Mercedes. It's a
Yeah, but
Mercedes.
It's an old jalopy.
It's a Mercedes.
It's a 9-year-old
Well,
Mercedes.
Mercedes will still
it's got
service
dents
it.
in the bonnet.
Doesn't
It
matter.
looks like a wreck.
Doesn't matter.
It's the sort of thing that homeless people live
still
in.
cheaper than your
It's not a
Mercedes, though, isn't
car.
it?
It's not a car.
Still
It's-
cheaper than your rubbishy
It's
old
a
Mercedes.
mobile wreck.
Right.
Now then, what I want to say to you was, I'm smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, really.
So what
Average
I'd have done
bear
is
is not very bright, though,
What
is it?
I'd have
Let's
done
face
is,
it.
on the way home after the exec product had shown you how to fix the mirror, okay?
Yeah.
I would have
Well, no, he didn't show me how to fix it, he fixed it.
Yeah, okay, but he showed you how to fix it, didn't he?
No, he fixed
He must
it.
have done, because he told you about these two grooves
Well, no,
he's
he
going on
managed.
about.
No, but I mean, it's one thing to watch somebody doing something, as you well know, and another thing to actually do it yourself.
Yeah. What I'm
You know,
saying is, because I'm
it's
smart...
not my particular skill set.
Because you don't have to have a skill set. Because I'm smart than the average bear, I would have stopped at the first shop that sold super glue, right? Then I'd have got back in the car,
that
wrenched
wouldn't
the
hold
mirror
it.
out.
Well, see, that would be an idiotic waste of money.
No. Then I'd have put
You'd
the
have ended
super
up
glue.
sticking yourself to the roof of the car, and the mirror would still be out.
No, rubbish. And I'd have put the super glue all over the mirror, and then I'd have put the two grooves back into the
Well, see,
the
that's
roof
where
of the
you would have been
car,
wrong.
and then it would still be there now.
No.
Instead of which, I
No.
turn up tonight in the old Talksport car park, and it's dangling down
No,
again.
it's not dangling
and
down.
it's
no,
wrecked.
no, because I've actually
It's
removed.
wrecked.
No, the difference between what it was like on Thursday night and the way it is now.
So you haven't
is that
actually
I've-
got one now?
Is that I've unplugged it.
So you haven't got a mirror now?
No, I haven't got a mirror there because I've unplugged
Against
it.
the
So
law?
it's not against the law.
Against
We
the law
established
to
this.
drive
Do you
around
not
without
remember what the
reverse-
MOT inspector said? You only need 2 out of 3 mirrors.
Well-
Vans don't have central central mirrors.
Yeah.
You know, you've obviously forgotten all this
No,
in
no,
your
I
state
haven't.
of bladderation over the weekend.
No, I haven't.
It is not against the
No, I
law
haven't.
to not have a rear view mirror.
No.
Can you get that into your head?
No, I'm
It's
sorry.
not against the law.
In a commercial car like that with the back window,
We've
you've got
already...
to have a rear view mirror.
No, you don't.
You
It's not
do
true.
if your two wing mirrors aren't working, and they're
The wing mirrors are working absolutely
No,
perfectly.
they're not. They're dodgy. That
No,
old
they're
wreck
not.
of yours has been knocked around quite a lot.
You've tried this in the past and you've been proven wrong and you were made to look an idiot on Friday
Talk
morning.
about bladderation over the
I
weekend.
think what you should do is move
Thought
on.
your behaviour on Friday night at the Hen and Chickens, where we did our show this week,
My
was a
behaviour?
disgrace.
Why was it a disgrace?
You were wearing tan shoes.
Tan shoes.
Look like a jerk.
You wear the shoes that you wear,
Yeah.
right? I've actually
Yeah.
had you talk about tweets that have come in.
Yeah.
Pav has sent a tweet in before the
Yeah.
show to say he wants to start a fund for you to buy you
really?
a decent pair of shoes
And
before
what's
Christmas.
Pav got to do with it? What does he know about
Well,
it?
he was actually there.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't
right.
remember meeting him, do you? Of
course I do.
Talk about bladderation.
No.
And the point is, he says, you know, the shoes were so awful that he basically said, you know, it's time to start a fund for you to actually buy
My
a new
shoes
pair.
aren't awful. My shoes are very expensive shoes, and what I do is...
Yeah, but they look like surgical shoes.
No, they're
for a
not
start.
surgical shoes. I put orthodontic insoles in them.
Oh, to try and make yourself taller.
No, to try and make sure that the curvature of my foot is exactly the same as the curvature of my shoe.
Is it?
So what I do is...
Well, they look ridiculous.
I get the shoes to blend with every sort of bone and curve of my feet.
Is that right?
So it's the nearest thing to having no shoes on when, in fact, you've got shoes on, if you see what I mean.
Here's what Pav says. After last
Yeah.
Friday, I've decided we need to start a shoe fund for Mike Parry in
Yeah.
time for Christmas. They were so bad, with the emphasis on so.
No, they weren't. They were... how much they cost?
Their unsightliness was exacerbated further by the false equivalency of your tan shoes, he says to me. I don't know what he means by
Your
that.
tan shoes are only tan because they used to be another colour, but you've never cleaned them.
That's not true.
And they've been
They were
stuffed
tan when I
into
bought
tan.
them.
No, I don't think
you
so.
were waxing lyrical
I
about
don't think so.
the Roberto Martinez tan shoes. You
Yeah.
thought they made him look very dapper.
Yeah, but he's a gentleman. He's a Spaniard. He's got style and class and
Yeah.
charisma.
Yeah.
You haven't got any of that.
Yeah.
You're just a fat slob.
Well, if I haven't got any of that,
Fat
then
slob
you
falling
must,
around
you
on the
must,
stage.
You must, is this how this week's going to go? Is the week going to be like
It's
this? You're just going to
embarrassing.
start abusing me?
Yeah, listen, there's
Well,
one
at
here.
least last week you waited till about Wednesday before you started doing that.
Old Dodge Mason, that's his name on his Twitter account.
Is that
What a
right?
stupid name, but thanks for sending it in, Dodge. He says, why don't you treat old MG to a new car, Porky, for all he's done for you over the years? He's been carrying you manfully.
Carrying you mainly, yeah.
Oh,
well,
I
I mean,
do.
that's a good
Carrying
idea.
you
Well,
mainly,
you can
yeah,
buy me a car
yeah.
if you want.
Yeah,
I
well,
have a very good reason for
I
having
think
a
I
car.
might have to soon. That one's going to fall to bits.
It's not going to fall to bits. It's got a dodgy mirror, that's all.
Yeah.
And I may try and get it fixed a little bit later on
Yeah,
this
I wouldn't
week.
bother.
Or I may just get it
Hey,
replaced.
listen,
I might just go and buy one of those
Yeah.
stick-on mirrors, you know, that you can stick on the windscreen.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than, because it's a very complicated thing. It's not just a mirror, you see. You're already getting
It's
that
a
look
unit.
that
It's
you
a
already started
unit.
boring you, right?
No.
but it's one of those mirrors that changes when it gets dark, you know, so that you don't get
Yeah.
blinded by the headlights behind you.
I've got all of
It's got all of that.
In
you
fact,
know.
lights come on in my mirror, but I don't know why.
Yeah, well, mine too.
Yeah,
you know,
I
so
don't know why that
it's got
happens.
this whole unit attached to
I'll
it.
tell you about a car, right? Tell you about a car. I was in my office today, right?
Your office?
Yes.
What office?
My office at home.
You haven't got an office.
Of course I've got an office.
Where is it? In the locked room?
No, I haven't got a locked room, you idiot.
Well, where's the office?
The office is in my...
You mean it's in one of your spare bedrooms?
No. It's in Stockbroker Belt. Sorry, it's an office.
So you've
you know.
got a study, have you?
Of course I have.
And what have you got in the study?
I've got all sorts of electronic equipment and
Really?
printers and things like that,
Really?
you know, and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Do you know how to fill a printer with ink?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Do you?
I do, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that several times.
Do you know
yeah.
that's the most expensive liquid known to man?
And, yeah, I do. And I've also still got a fax machine, actually.
Yeah, of course
which
you
is
have.
quite useful.
Well, it's not really. Nobody else has got one,
and
so you can't
scanning
send one to anyone.
Scanning and all that kind of stuff, an ISDN line, all these sort of things.
You got an
right?
ISDN
Yeah.
line?
Got all of those.
Well, you could work from home then. Why don't you just stay there and do the show?
Well, I could do.
I wouldn't have to look at you.
Well, then I wouldn't have to look at you and suffer all your, your perpetual nonsense. Anyway,
occasionally the ISDN line would go down and I'd get a chance to speak.
Anyway, so there I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden there's
Yeah.
this huge crashing noise,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, sometimes you hear these garbage trucks go over sleeping policemen,
Yeah.
and they sort of go ba-boom.
Right.
Well, this went boom, but there was no ba-boom.
All right.
And I thought, well, what that is. So, anyway, and I couldn't look out the window because it's got a Velix window in my office, you see. So I
has
go
it?
out
Right.
and go to the room next door,
Yeah.
look out the window. Some poor woman has been driving down the road, and her wheels come off.
The wheel came off.
Wheel just came off a car.
Blimey.
And I looked out, and there's this black sort of Volkswagen Passat or Golf or
Yeah,
something,
right.
sat in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
The far side of it's sloping down, and
Yeah.
I thought she must have a puncture until I see a young girl walking up the road with a wheel.
With the wheel?
The wheel.
Well, like rolling it?
Rolling it up the road.
God.
And I know a wheel.
So she must have had it put on and not tightened properly.
I don't know. I've no idea.
That's terrible.
It just came off.
Imagine if it happened on a motorway.
Yeah, and there's a huge scar in the road, you know, where what's left of the wheel, like the axle or something, is scarred. So I made sure I got a note of the number because I'm going to report it to the council for damaging the road outside my house.
Such a snitch.
And this happened right outside my apartment. And I thought to myself, get rid of it because this is Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, and we don't want broken down cars with three wheels lying in the middle of the road.
Well, presumably they could have just jacked it up and put the wheel back on, couldn't they?
Well, I doubt it because when you think about it, the wheel comes off and bang, the axle hits the road. It's bound to do some damage.
Well, probably,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
You probably get it on well enough for it to drive to the nearest.
Well, I'm not interested in that. I just don't. You know what people are like these days? They just.
So you didn't think of going out to help then?
No, you must be joking. She might have been a nutter or something.
Well, I thought you were into this period of life when you were sort of saying, the first should be last and the last should be first.
Oh, I agree.
You're going to help people and everything.
This is my new philosophy.
Yeah,
the
but
first
it doesn't apply
should be
to
last,
real life.
And the last should be first. Well, not with people who run around in old wrecks where the wheels come off.
You might have been a neighbour of yours.
That wheel, quite seriously, could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
You get some kids walking down my street sometimes to go to the school at the end of the road.
Yeah.
And, that wheel had gone bouncing around. I mean, she should be prosecuted for driving around in a car with dodgy wheels.
Well, she should certainly think about prosecuting whoever it was that put the wheel on for her.
Well, maybe nobody did. Maybe it's been coming off for weeks, if you see what I mean, and the nuts are just loosened.
Yeah.
But surely you can tell when a wheel's getting loose. You get a vibration through your steering wheel.
Well, you would think, wouldn't you?
So she must be a bit of a absent-minded duffer.
Well, I think you shouldn't give her a hard time. She's probably the fright of her life.
I'm not really giving her a hard time, but I don't like her coming down wrecking my road. I wish her wheel had come off in somebody else's road.
Yeah, typical.
So it wouldn't have scarred the tarmac.
You're the opposite of the Good Samaritan, you are, aren't you?
No.
You wouldn't only not cross the road, you want people to actually cross the road to avoid having any problems anywhere near you.
No, but people are so responsible these days. My fear was she'd just say, there's nothing I can do about it, and then push off, and get a taxi and leave the car there.
That's what you would have done.
Because it's probably only worth that.
That's what you would have done.
A few £100. No, I wouldn't. No, I'd have rung up some breakdown service to tow it away.
Anyway,
and demolish it.
I'm glad to see you're in such a good mood, having had a weekend off.
Yeah.
Loads and loads of texts and tweets coming in. Rob in Peterborough has texted into 81089. He says, I want to say a massive thanks to Mr. Parry for his confidence in Murray to beat Federer last week. This enabled me to roger the bookies, so to speak, by lumping on Fed. Such is the power of the curse of Porky. Keep up the good work, he says.
Yeah, well, Andy Murray didn't really get up to speed, did he, there? But it was quite a sensational end, wasn't it, to the old Wimbledon because of how good old Djokovic was.
Well, you said, funnily enough, I happened to be listening back to the podcast quiz last week. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't in any way gerrymandered or I couldn't be accused of that.
Yes.
And just before that, you said, in your own words, I would bet anybody any money they like that Andy Murray will beat Federer because Federer hasn't played anybody decent and Andy Murray's on form and Federer isn't. That was what you said on Friday morning.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was an analysis of it so far. No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. He did. Federer won in 3 straight sets.
Federer.
I know you can't remember all the way back
yes,
to
that's
Friday.
Right. Yes. No, he did. That was a slight miscalculation. By the way, the other bet I was trying to get going over the weekend was that Raheem Sterling will not score 5 goals for Manchester City.
I saw that.
Season.
Yeah, did anybody take you up on it?
Well, no, but I mean, somebody will, I would think, because when I thought it later, I thought, is that reckless? And I thought, no, it's not reckless. I mean, if I'd have said 10, I'd be an absolute winner, but you wouldn't get much odds on it. But I don't think he'll score even 5.
Well, I think you're probably going to lose that one.
No,
actually.
I don't think I am.
I
don't think I am. Now,
I'll tell you what's back as well soon, if you want to get involved in it, is the Selco Predictor, where you can win £1 million.
Oh, right.
But if you go and register for it now on Talk Sport, you actually get £500. You could win £500 just for registering.
Now, you tell me that I get predictions wrong all the time. I'm telling you, I got the Sterling transfer fee exactly right.
Rubbish.
I did.
You did not.
I did.
You said it would be 36 million.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, was it?
It was.
It's 49 million.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
9 million goes to QPR.
Yes, that's 40.
And 5 million is a bolt-on.
So it's 35 then. You're saying it's 35.
It's between 35 and 36. And I said 36. I got it exactly right, okay?
Well, you said that.
I know these things. I know the inside out.
It's the first thing you've got right all year.
I know the inside out.
You said Sharapova would beat Serena Williams.
Well, who she had, don't you?
What do you mean you wish she had?
Well, I like old Maria Sharapova. I think she's elegant.
Yeah, I know you do. But that's not the real reason you like her.
Anyway, look,
a few more of these
I know the inside out of the transfer market, so I estimated it.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, because
right.
one of the things I said at the top of the show is Liverpool haven't made as much money here as they thought.
No.
And Liverpool fans, I think, are very fed up because they know no matter how much money they've made, basically it will be badly invested by Brendan Rodgers and whoever else is in charge of bringing players in.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Mind you, James Milner has also said on the back pages of the papers here this morning that if Raheem Sterling thinks he's going to be a shoo-in for the first team, he might have to think twice.
Well, of course he will.
No, you'd have to say Milner's a bit better than Sterling's a bit better than Milner, isn't
he? Is he? I mean, the thing is, Sterling's mind was taken over by the transfer for the second half of the season. He didn't put in any impressive performances. And also, all this about, he's a great acquisition as an Englishman for Manchester City. Nobody quite knows the rules, on these homegrown players things. And
they keep changing them, don't they?
Well, keep changing them, but also the homegrown player status can be so easily acquired if you can prove the guy's been around since he was 15 or something like that.
Yeah, but it used to be 18, so now they've made it a bit more difficult.
And that's sort of changing the numbers from, 8 homegrown players to, 11 homegrown players. I mean, it's all over the blinking place, and that can't be the reason why they bought him. The reason they bought him is maybe for the Bill Shankly philosophy of the 60s, and that was there's a player on the market, we haven't got any room for him in our team, but to stop anybody else getting him, buy him, put him in the reserve.
Maybe so.
He did that with a guy called Alan Evans. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember Alan Evans.
Alan Evans was the first.
He got quite a few games to Liverpool.
Yeah, he was the first £100,000 teenager. Came from Wolverhampton Wanderers to Liverpool.
He was blonde, wasn't he?
Blonde, that's right. Yeah, he was. I tell you what, he was a lookalike of the guy who used to be the lead singer for Sweet.
He was a bit, Brian Connolly.
Brian Connolly, that's the guy. Yeah,
yeah. He played for Liverpool in the era when my sister was a big Liverpool fan. And we used to watch them quite a lot. Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, yeah.
And Steve Highway and Brian Hall and all that crap.
Steve Highway, Brian Hall. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Shankly made it. He admitted it. He said, "I'd only got a place in the team for this lad. He's only young and all that, but don't want anybody else getting hold of him, to score against us." And then a couple of years later, he blooded him in the team. And he became quite good.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if Raheem Sterling's going to. I just don't know what's going to happen to Raheem Sterling. I don't think he's as good as everybody says he is, but that's another story.
I don't either. And if you listen to Rodney Marsh earlier in the last show that Georgie and Jason were doing, he talks tremendous sense, Rodney, and he was outraged when somebody suggested, he could play in a number 10 role. Yeah. He said, no, he won't get in the team in that role.
Because David Silva plays that
David
way.
Silva. Yeah. But he's going to have to play wide, isn't he? Because
presumably he'd have to play up the middle. He'd have to play up front with Aguero, wouldn't he?
Well, I don't know. He plays 2 strikers then. And at the moment, Aguero plays as a lone striker.
The thing is, every time he gets anywhere in front of goal, he just skewers it wide.
Well,
that's the problem. Aguero's going to get pretty fed up laying on goals for him if he keeps missing them.
I think also because he, through his own actions, has made the transfer such a high-profile one. He will be expected to turn in genius performances in his first 3 games.
He will, which will be very hard for him to do.
And if he doesn't score, the frustration will start mounting and people say, what a waste of money and all this kind of stuff.
Because he's not a genius at football yet.
No, he's not.
If he becomes one, that may well be. No. Let me read you this. Pete says this at the 2 mics. He says, Porky was dressed so badly Friday night when he left, someone offered him 4 cans of out-of-date beer. Zobon says, Porky can't operate an all-in-one printer to save his life. Kenny says, trust Porky to be in the office when the wheels fall off. And William says, Porky has a hotline in his study to his contacts at British Naval Intelligence and his friends at the Kremlin. Have you got one of those red phones?
Well, no.
When it rings, it's the commander.
Hey, you talk about that. Do you remember one of the US elections I covered was Walter Mondale?
One of the 2?
No, good about 3 or 4 actually. Where Walter Mondale trying to beat Reagan.
Yeah. That was when he had Geraldine Ferraro running with him.
Geraldine Ferraro, that's right, yeah. The Italian woman who, you got an Italian husband, because people thought he was a gangster. But anyway, that's by the by.
Yeah, very unfairly.
And Walter Mondale's great shout was, I know how to answer the phone. Do you remember they used to show adverts of this red phone burning bright and hot and all that? The whole idea was, it's the hotline to the Kremlin and all that. It was pathetic. He was pathetic. He got massacred, didn't he?
Now, here's one here from Show Me the Money. He's a Liverpool fan. He says, Porky is wrong. There are no add-ons with the Sterling deal. It's 49 million straight.
No, it's not.
40.1 million goes to Liverpool, 8.9 goes to QPR.
No, it's not. Honestly, I've looked at an inside detail of the deal.
Yeah, I think you might be right about
5 million. It's 44 plus 5, and they didn't want it to go over 50 million because it would have set a precedent for £50 million transfers.
Yes,
that is the honest truth.
And Sam says, "How about this? This is another sort of slight at your sartorial insignificance." He says, "Are the tan shoes churches? Ignorant people commenting on your brogues, especially those wearing check shirts from Avanti by Mr. C&A."
No,
which is where you buy your shirts.
I don't know what he's talking about. I thought I looked rather elegant, and I got some attention from people after the show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What sort of people?
Well, I've got a sort of following, if you see what I mean. The Porky, The Porksters.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
looked around suddenly and you disappeared.
No, I didn't
Again,
disappear.
you've done a disappearing act like you did at Manchester.
No.
I don't know why you keep leaving early.
No,
I think it's because
I refuse to stay and get until
I
2:30 in the morning.
No, I think it's because you don't like all the attention I get.
No,
I
rubbish.
think it puts you in the shade and you feel embarrassed.
That's utter
That's
nonsense.
what I think.
Utter nonsense. Now then, let me tell you about Ranieri, okay?
Yeah, go on. Claudio.
Yeah, Claudio.
Did you have any dealings with him when he was last in the Premier League?
Well, funny enough, we were in Monaco when Chelsea went there for the semi-final of the Champions League.
Okay.
And that was the night when he completely wrecked his Chelsea career because, talk about the Tinker Man, I think he started changing substitutes after about 20 minutes in this game, moving people around, putting them in false positions, all that kind of stuff, and that really was the end for him. Now, what I was going to say is he's been to loads of clubs since. I think he's had 15 clubs altogether or something like that.
Yeah.
And
some of them have been pretty big clubs as well.
Some have been big clubs.
I mean, it's tough to say, without wishing to cast any aspersions on Leicester City, every club he's ever been at, bigger than Leicester.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
That's true, and that's an unfortunate thing to say because he's never won anything at any of them. But what I was going to say was, he says, I want to come back to the Premier League, it's the most competitive league in the world.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true, and I'm afraid you failed in it last time, Mr. Ranieri. Particularly, Mike, as he was the incumbent manager when Roman Abramovich bought Chelsea, right?
Yes.
We know that, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know how rich Roman Abramovich was. We do now. So what I'm saying is Ranieri couldn't even make it work when he was the first manager to have the availability of literally hundreds of millions of pounds.
Fantastic players,
Yeah. I mean, he could have bought anybody he wanted, and if he'd have gone to Mr. Abramovich and given him a wish list and said, right, those are the players I want to bring in, he could very well still be there now.
Yeah.
But he wasn't good enough to do that, and I it's the strangest move I can think of.
And also his most recent record, managing the Greek national team.
Oh, terrible!
He's awful, isn't he? Only won one game.
The Faroe Islands, didn't they?
Which has actually created what I would say is the worst back page headline I think I've seen in many a year.
Oh yes,
I don't know whether you've spotted it
Yeah.
on the back page of the Sun Sport.
Mm-hmm.
Tinkers a Pharaoh gamble. That's just awful, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, if you'd been there, you'd have said no. Do another one. You know when they try too hard?
Yeah, they're trying too hard there.
It doesn't work, does
Most people will not be able to relate to what that headline means, to be honest.
And also, right, here's
do you know
the
what?
thing.
That's a headline written by journalists for journalists. It's not written for the public, that.
Because not everybody knows that he lost to the Faroe Islands.
That's right.
It's really kind of irrelevant anyway.
Yeah.
But the thing about his now new role at Leicester is that he won't have to be as competitive as he was playing for managing Chelsea.
Of course he won't.
I mean, all Leicester have got to do is survive relegation.
Exactly, yeah, that's right, yeah.
But I quite like the idea of going from Nigel Pearson to him, and one of the things that's been said is that the owners have obviously decided they want a safe pair of hands before they want some flamboyant character. Some people have said, they've chosen this big name from...
Well, he's flamboyant.
No, he's not.
He's flamboyant.
No, he's very...
He's known as the Tinker Man. He likes laughing and saying...
No, but he's not the kind of guy. He's not the kind of guy that's going to take his son to to Thailand and allow him to get involved in the kind of nastiness, sordid orgy-wise that his son got involved in.
Of course not. But
and they're not going to fall out with him over that kind of stuff.
Nevertheless, it's a very odd signing indeed. I mean, it's odd on a number of scores. Firstly, he's a foreign manager, and I don't think foreign managers should come here unless they're of the calibre of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
Secondly, he's done it in the Premier League before but failed. I mean, this is equivalent to, Spurs taking on RVP. What was his name?
Hey?
What was his name?
Who?
The guy who used to run Chelsea and he got the sack and then he ended up at Spurs.
AVB.
AVB.
Yeah. Andre Villas-Boas.
That's him.
You used to do a really good impression of him, actually.
Yeah, I did, actually, yeah.
Well, there's not time for it at the moment.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
No, there is, go on.
So what?
We'll do it.
How did he speak then?
He was very sort of mumbled quite a lot.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, he used to put his fingers to his lips and go. First off, second off was
nigga. Get that. That's one of your better ones.
I told the boys tighten up in the second half.
That's exactly him.
That's how he used to speak.
Now listen, we haven't got any time now because we've got to stop. Tommy Smith's
but he failed
coming
at
up.
Chelsea and then ended up at Spurs.
Yeah, I know.
Ranieri failed at Chelsea, ended up at Leicester. Don't they learn lessons?
Well, we'll talk about where they all end up later as well. Tommy Smith's coming up in a moment. We'll ask him what he thinks of Raheem Sterling and whether he knows.
I think his name's Smythe, by the way, this chap.
Well, why don't you ask him?
Tommy Smythe.
Yeah.
It's spelled SMYTH.
Yeah, it's pronounced Smith. But you can ask him if you like. He's coming up next right here on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. We've been talking about Raheem Sterling. We haven't yet talked about some of the other signings that have been made over the last few days. We're going to talk to a man over in the United States of America, Tommy Smith from ESPN, who coincidentally does a show with Rodney Marsh over there as well. So we'll find out from Tommy what he makes of all this business that has been done. Tommy, very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, the two Mikes. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Now, Mr. Parry asked me a question earlier, Tommy. I'm pretty sure I'm right to say that your last name is pronounced Smith, not Smythe, right?
Yeah, it's Smith with a Y. That's my signature.
Oh, excellent. Well done.
Smith with a Y.
Smith with a Y. Excellent. Rather like that friend of ours that we used to know, Dermot Pagavey, who had one eye because he was knocked out playing cricket. And he used to say he's Pagavey with one eye. Yeah. But anyway, that's another story. Now, tell us what you make of the Raheem Sterling deal. Thank God it's finally been done, right?
Yeah, thank God it's finally been done. I mean, I suppose in the end, Liverpool have made him look very badly. I thought for a while there that Liverpool were not handling it very well, but myself and Rodney were talking about it, and Rodney, I don't know, got a tip somewhere that the deal was done. So I suppose Liverpool kind of let him hang himself out there, and like he's become public enemy not just to Liverpool fans, but there's a lot of fans around England hate him now as well. So I would say it'll be a tough year for Sterling, but it's good that it's done anyhow. I don't know if he'll make that City team. That's another question.
Well, that is the question, Tommy, because it's been such a high-profile transfer now. He's made it so public, him and his agent, with what some would call unsavoury tactics to force his departure from Liverpool, that all the focus is going to be on him in his first 3 games, you know. Well, was it worth all the hassle anyway for City to have taken him on? Is he worth the £50 million, which the transfer will eventually add up to? More importantly, has he really left Liverpool in limbo by leaving them, or will they survive without him? All these questions need to be answered in the first 3 games. He might not even play in those first 3 games.
Yeah, well, I think Liverpool will survive without him. That much we can be assured of. And, I mean, there's no question the man has talent. But just because he has talent doesn't mean that he's going to be a great football player. We've seen many players come down the pike with talent before, and they just fade off on the horizon. They're gone. So it's going to be this is going to be a big year for him, and I would hate to be him when he goes on the road in a lot of places. When he's playing away from home, I'll tell you one thing, he's going to get some stick in a lot of quarters.
He certainly is. And also, A.D. Ward, you know, the agent who's made so much of this, and Jason Cunliffe was on the show prior to this saying he thinks he's played an absolute blinder. What does A.D. Ward do now? I mean, he's basically spent the last year agitating to get Sterling out of Liverpool. Saido Berahino has parted company with him. I'm not sure which other players he represents, but this is a guy who only knows one way to operate, and that's to negotiate the next deal. So what's he going to do now?
Yeah, but if he's on 10% of the transfer fee, he doesn't need to work.
So
again, does he?
Yeah, but these guys want to do something, don't they?
Well,
what do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, they certainly want to do something, but, I mean, that's a good point. If you're on 10% of, 49 million, hey, it's not a bad day's pay, let me tell you. I wouldn't mind working for that.
No, it's absolutely right. However, what we also have, Tommy, are the number of players, young English players, because, you know, it's supposed to be the acquisition of English players to balance the rules about homegrown players. We've seen so many of those go to Manchester City and disappear in a puff of smoke. Now, Jack Rodwell was one of my favourite players. I'm an Everton fan. He played for England while he was at Everton. He was going to be a world beater. He went to Manchester City. Nobody's ever heard of him since.
Yeah, and that's the danger that Sterling has. I mean, if he doesn't make it, and I mean, not alone that, if he doesn't make it with City, do you think that there's another club sitting by saying, hey, we've seen what this guy's going to do? Or maybe he might even he may even throw the toys out of the pram with City if he can't get onto the team. I mean, this man has shown, you know, his capabilities in what he will do with a team. I mean, I thought Liverpool were always very good to him. They brought him up to give him an opportunity, but he certainly didn't repay them. And now he has served notice to everybody else that this is my temperament, this is what I can do. So I think a lot of other teams will see him now as being damaged goods if something goes wrong at City.
Also, a couple of things. He's coming into a City team which is full of superstars. You know, you've got Sergio Aguero there, you've got David Silva, you've got Yaya Toure. I mean, James Milner's in the papers this morning, Tommy, saying to Raheem, you know, you're going to be in for the shock of your life if you think you'll be playing every week. He said, I would sometimes win Player of the Month and then be out for 3 or 4 games. He said, I was always filling in. You know, I couldn't get a regular start, regular run in the team. And there's going to be a lot of players, you would think, at Manchester City who are not exactly going to be welcoming this kid with open arms.
Yeah, he's not going to. I mean, it's not going to be a reception that he's expecting, I would imagine. I mean, obviously, the kid has a very high opinion of himself, which nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being confident. But I just don't like the way he played the hand that he was dealt, and that was that he played it in the public, he played it in the newspapers, on the radio, on the television, and now he's got what he wants. But, you know, sometimes you have to be very careful what you wish for, because sometimes it doesn't work out, and that could happen very easy with Sterling.
Well, just to sum it up, Tommy, I'm looking at what Phil Thompson, a Liverpool legend, a man who lifted the European Cup for Liverpool, had to say about this all. He said Raheem Sterling failed to deliver. As far as he's concerned, it's good riddance. And I think a lot of Liverpool fans will feel exactly that. They got 50 million quid, or they will, when the deal's eventually sorted out, and they can buy themselves some good new players with that money. Bye-bye, Raheem Sterling. I think that's what they're going to say.
Yeah, I would say that Liverpool got the best of the deal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Now, let's ask you about Manchester United, because we were hearing a statistic earlier on this evening on TalkSport that they've spent 300 million quid now in the last 2 years, and they've bought, obviously, Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin, and everybody thinks this is going to be the beginning of their bid to get sort of dominance in the Premier League. But it's not enough, is it?
Oh, I wouldn't think it's enough. I certainly wouldn't think it's enough. I mean, they certainly still need a centre-back, and they need another striker. And, you know, the problem with Schweinsteiger is that Schweinsteiger's been around a long while, and there's a lot of miles on those legs. And I know people are saying, yeah, but he still has a few good years. But they were very tough miles, playing for Germany and playing with Bayern Munich and always going down the middle. So he's not had it easy. And I'm not sure how much, you know, he had tremendous injuries last year. I mean, I think he only played 15 games the whole season for Bayern Munich. He said he came back from the World Cup in bad shape and that he was okay this year. But I'll tell you one thing, time will tell. I think that's a huge risk. I mean, he's a great player, was a great player, shall we say. And if they could get 2 or 3 years out of him, it's good money. I mean, the other thing is that there's rumours that maybe Muller may come with him. Now, that would be a deal if they could get Muller, because then they have the striker to want. And apparently we're hearing that maybe Muller and Pep Guardiola don't get along as well together as they should. So maybe the Muller thing is not as far-fetched as a lot of people are saying it is.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating stuff. It's only 25 days to go until the Premier League gets underway. Tommy, thanks very much indeed. And if you fancy getting involved in that Predictor League, which we told you about earlier, just go to talksport.com/Predictor and you can get yourself involved in it. You might win 500 quid. A couple of quick texts to read out to you, Mr. Parry. Show Me the Money has backed up this previous tweet with this. Not even staggered payments, all being paid in one whack, talking about Sterling. So 40 million quid for 800,000. We are laughing. He says we might even bid for Everton, which I think is a bit of a dig at you.
Is it a bit of a dig at me? Well, don't worry. I don't dig easily, so don't worry about it. It's not, honestly. It's a staged transfer. I've seen the details of it, so I know all these things. Right. You know.
EP says, is Mike Parry's fax machine on a trolley in his bathroom?
No. That was the telly that used to be. But I don't have to use a trolley for my telly in the bathroom anymore, because you can wire it into the bathroom now in a way you never used to be able to.
Are you sure that's not illegal?
No, it's not illegal.
I think it is illegal.
No, it's not.
I don't think you can have any electrical wiring in the bathroom.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Well, what about a shaver point?
No, but that's a special thing. You can only ever have a shaver point. You talk to any reputable electrician, and he will tell you that you cannot put electronics into the bathroom.
You can if it's not a plug that you plug into. If it's if it comes out of the wall and it can't be connected to anything else, only the unit that it's connected to, it can.
What? So you've got a bathroom television?
I'm working on it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's
what is it on? I mean, you can probably mount one on the wall. You might be able to do that.
Yeah, you can. That's
but
what I'm saying.
What you can't have is have one that's actually sitting on any kind of device.
That's exactly what I'm saying, yeah. They're going to do it behind the tiling and all that kind of stuff.
Behind the tiling?
So, yeah, well, you have to.
Well, you're having it all redone again?
Yeah, I'm going to have to, yeah.
You've only just had the wet room done. Well, if it's a wet room, then surely you can't have a TV in there.
No, that's the other bathroom. This is...
How many bathrooms you got?
Two.
Two bathrooms?
This particular building,
Why?
But... Well, because one is a shower room, like wet room, the other one's got a bath in it.
Oh, I see.
So I like lounging in a bath, And
the triangular-shaped bath.
Yes, a triangular-shaped bath, yeah, that's right, yeah.
God, you know how to live, don't you?
Yeah, I certainly do, actually, yeah.
Have you ever had anyone else in it?
Sorry?
Have you ever had anyone else in it?
No.
What a shame.
Wouldn't
you have a triangular bath. And you surely wouldn't put somebody else in it, wouldn't you?
Well, are you talking about nefarious practices? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, you see, your smutty mind always ends up, doesn't it, in
well,
the
what's the point of having a triangular
flesh,
bath
doesn't it?
if you're not going to have somebody else in it with you?
Well, the point of having a triangular bath is it's a nice big roomy bath that you can sort of sink into and put a load of bubbles in.
You could
and
have
all
a nice
that kind
roomy
of stuff.
bath if you had one of those tin things that they used to have in Victorian times. It'd be big enough for you.
Well, have you got one of those in your apartment then?
No, I haven't.
What sort of shape is your bath?
It's bath shaped.
It's bath shaped.
Not a triangle or an octagon or anything. Or a pentagon.
I bet if
or a hexagon.
If they have sizes for baths, I bet your bath is XXXXX large, isn't it?
No, it's just
Get
normal.
your fat frame in it.
No, it's just normal.
Yeah. By the way, do they have a special insurance policy in the block you live in, so that the blinking bathroom floor doesn't collapse when you get in the bath? You plus the weight of water in a bath, I'd say that was dangerous.
Yeah, well,
I'd say that's as dangerous as putting a swimming pool on the roof of a hotel.
Yeah, that's not dangerous either.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
So I love my dog as much as I love you. The you may fade, my dog will always come through.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Of course, there will be a podcast coming out. There will be winners and losers coming up later on. So I hope you've boned up on that this week.
Yes,
because,
of course.
There's been some great ones actually, which we haven't even spoken about Lewis Hamilton yet, which we will.
Yeah.
How about this from Ben? Right, dear MG, how on earth do you put up with Porky's unprovoked pugnacity 4 nights a week? His continual gratuitous aggressiveness towards you is a sure sign of his deep-rooted insecurity and inferiority complex. Truly confident and accomplished people don't need to be on the attack all the time. Porky, take a chill pill, mate. He says, and go book yourself in with a psychoanalyst.
What's a lot of utter rubbish.
He's right, though. You are very aggressive.
No, the reason I have to be firm in my relationship with you is because you take advantage of my nice nature.
Your nice nature?
Yeah, and my...
What do you mean, the one where you didn't go out and help some poor woman whose wheel had come off her car? She might have been injured.
But I'm not
Did you see her?
No, yes, she got out the car, walked around and had a look at it. And I told you, her daughter had to run down the road and recover the wheel.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what could I do? I'm not a mechanic. I don't have to fix broken wheels.
You could have offered her a cup of tea or something like that.
Cup of tea? What would she want a cup of tea
Well, she's probably
for?
in shock. I mean, when something like that happens, she probably needs a cup of sugary tea.
She's got a nurse to treat her or something. You can't give people tea when they're shocked.
Well, if it happens right outside your door, I think you're duty bound. I mean, you're one of the few people that's there during the day, right?
Yeah.
So you should probably have gone out and helped her.
Or
at least offered help.
I don't really want somebody else drinking out of my bone china, to be honest.
Well,
you know?
if it bothered you that much.
Dolby, it's
Dolby.
Denby. No, it's Denby.
What, you've been reduced hiss?
No.
On the crockery?
No, it's Denby.
Tremendous.
It's Denby. And that's very posh crockery.
Yeah.
Bought it from the Denby shop, actually.
Well, there's a funny thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't buy it from the Dolby shop.
No, I
didn't.
No.
A bit of a surprise.
Now, listen, I've got to talk to you about your dog. You're going away in a month, aren't you? So I'm a bit of holiday or something like that. Taking
well, I don't really like to publicise that I'm going away on holiday.
Well,
somebody decides to rob me.
Well, no. I mean,
thanks anyway.
People are going to notice you're not here, aren't
they? Well, they are.
Eventually,
yeah.
What provision have you made for your dog?
I've told you before.
Hang on, a couple of days after you bought the dog last year, you banished it into a kennel for 2 weeks
while
you selfishly went on holiday.
Absolutely not true.
No, it is true.
No, I've pointed out to you many times, but you forget because your memory's failing you. And in fact, we knew we were going to pick the dog up, but we didn't pick the dog up until after we returned from holiday. So the dog was at the breeders, which is a farm, basically. Right? And that's where the dog will go in the summer.
Now, I want to know...
So the dog will return, actually, to the bosom of his family because he'll spend time with his mother, his brother, and 2 of his sisters who are still currently living there.
And then you'll rip it away from the heart of the family again and take it back with you. That's not very nice, is it?
Well, that's what you do with dogs.
Imagine poor orphan children being treated like that, and then you treat
you can't
orphan dog.
You can't imagine children being treated like anything since you've never had any.
Well, now listen...
And the only dog you've ever had was so unhappy that it bashed its head against the wall to kill itself.
I don't know how you can make a joke about a dog that's
I'm not
epileptic
making a joke. I'm simply making a statement.
My dog died of epilepsy, and your nasty vitriolic references to it over the years have really, really upset my family. Because we were all mourning that dog for years.
I'm sure you were.
Now, I want to know how well you're treating your dog. Right,
very well.
Answer this question,
Yeah, very
please.
well indeed.
When did you last get your dog's eyes tested?
His eyes tested?
Yes.
I don't think he's ever had his eyes tested.
Ah, well, you see, what are you up to? How do you know your dog can see all right?
Well, because he can.
No, how you don't know that? You don't know that. Why haven't you had his eyes tested?
Well, how do you test a dog's eyes?
You go along to a vet
and an eye chart and ask him to go. Is that how you do it?
Don't be so ridiculous. You go along to a vet. You go along to a vet and you get a vet to look into his eyes.
Gee.
What a nonsense are you talking about?
Well, maybe the vet has looked into his eyes.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
if he looked into your eyes,
he'd
he'd probably have you committed.
I don't know, honestly, sometimes.
Well, how do you know?
I'm trying to make a joke of this because you haven't looking after your dog properly.
The dog is only just over a year old, right? His eyes are fine.
No,
you can see
you
a
don't
rabbit.
know that.
You can see a rabbit at 200
yards. You don't know that. Your dog might be short-sighted. It might be long-sighted.
Well, he's never complained about it.
He might have one of those things you have in your eyes, cataracts.
It's okay. He doesn't need a driving licence. It's not a problem.
No, you idiot. Of course it is. A dog can't have a nice life if it can't see where it's going. You want to make sure. You want to get the dog's eyes tested.
Well, what happens if you find out the dog's short-sighted? What does your guru-like brain tell you about that?
Well, you can correct it with laser surgery.
What, so you get the dog laser surgery?
Of course you can.
Are you having a laugh?
No, that's what wealthy people do.
That's what wealthy people do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what lots of people do because they need to have good eyesight to drive a car, to be able to see. You know, the dog is perfectly happy. He can see perfectly well.
Yeah.
He doesn't bump into anything.
You don't know that. Now,
your next stupid question.
No, these are not stupid questions. Do you give your dog pills?
What?
Do you give your dog all sorts of pills?
No.
Sick pets. You see, I found this research document.
Yeah.
Vets ripping off people with sick pets by charging hefty fees for medicines you can buy for a fraction of the price online.
Yeah.
Are you aware of this?
Well, we don't.
These huge costs that you've got to pay for pills for a dog.
I can tell you that going to the vets is a very expensive thing to do.
Things like
which is why we were very worried when he ate the sock because at one point, I'm sorry to interrupt you with some facts here.
That's right.
But when he ate the sock, there was a very strong possibility if he hadn't managed to regurgitate it, we might have had to take him to the vet for 1, an X-ray, and 2, for an operation to get it taken out of his stomach, which would have cost a fortune.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But he's a very healthy dog, so he's not on any medication at the moment.
Okay. Now, what sort of insurance policy have you got for your dog?
We haven't got an insurance policy.
You don't have an insurance policy for your dog?
No.
That is an utter disgrace.
No, it isn't.
If the poor dog gets knocked down by a car, you'd have it put down, wouldn't you? Because you've got no insurance policy for it.
Well, that's a pretty horrible thing to have to think about, actually.
Well, of course it is. And it's so horrible that most people have got an insurance policy to be able to cope with the disaster.
What if my children are listening to the podcast of this? What do you think they're going to make of what you're saying about their dog?
Well, they're going to think that Daddy's not being very nice to the dog.
No, there are two schools of thought, actually, about dog insurance, okay?
Yeah.
And I subscribe to the second one.
Oh, yeah, which is don't buy one, because you can't afford it.
No, the first school of thought is that...
£70
you don't know anything about what you're talking about.
£70 a pop on a bottle of champagne.
As usual, you don't know what you're talking about.
For half of that price per month, you could insure your dog and see it has a healthy life.
Yeah, you couldn't, actually, because you can't insure...
Damn scoundrel.
You know what an insurance policy does, don't you?
What?
Do you know how it works? How does an insurance policy work?
Well, it makes provision for payments that you wouldn't normally be able to afford, but which you pay on a basis of insurance being the masses contributing to the few.
Yeah, is that your explanation?
Yes.
I think you better go to the back of the class.
No.
The point about insurance is that you go to an insurance company after an event has happened and you say, this has happened, and they say to you, well, actually, we don't cover that, but I'll tell you what we can do. We can cover this bit over here and that bit over there. So there is a very big school of thought in insurance worlds and in terms of people who own pets, which is that you actually put an amount of money aside every month, which is better than having an insurance policy. So if anything happens...
Did you do that?
You use that money, yeah.
No,
you use that money. Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You
So you use
dog
that
fund.
I do have a dog fund. So you use that money. The dog has a bank account. So we use that money whenever he goes to the vet. Because the problem is pet insurance is so much of a rip-off these days that they don't cover so many different things.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this.
That's true.
Listen to this here, and I'll
shut you up, isn't it?
No, it hasn't shut me up at all. You've just told a lie about your dog fund. You haven't got a dog fund.
I have so.
Rubbish.
I have indeed.
Well, I tell you what. I hope there's more in the dog fund than there is in the champagne fund. You spend enough on that, don't you?
No, actually, the champagne fund is bigger.
How did the weekend go, by the way, with the normal drinking process?
Which normal drinking process? Well, it's not one of your lies, isn't it?
Rosé whiskey.
Not true.
WRRW. The audience all know about it. They were tweeting me over the weekend. Is MG on the WRRW?
Well, I'm delighted that they're so interested in my sort of bladderation habits. But actually, on Saturday, I had to run the kids to a pool party. So they had to go from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon till about 6 o'clock at night. So I didn't have a drink until after I'd obviously ferried them home.
Oh, let's wait till 6 o'clock in the evening for a drink.
Waited until...
we're having the DTs.
Well, I don't...
You get blackout withdrawal symptoms.
I'd like to hear the last time you waited till 6 o'clock for a drink.
I didn't have a drink on Saturday until 8 o'clock, I don't think. What are you laughing at?
You expect me to believe that?
What?
You expect me to believe that?
I don't expect you to
By 8 o'clock, you were
foolishly.
already trying to put out bets to Paddy Power that nobody could understand.
Rubbish.
And the spelling was all wrong.
Rubbish.
So you must have been at Wetherspoons a bit earlier than that.
No, that's absolute nonsense.
Anyway, so I had a glass of rosé while I was cooking dinner. And then I had another glass of rosé with dinner.
Yes.
And then I probably finished the bottle, and that was about it, really. I went to bed. One bottle of rosé.
I don't believe that.
So no wine,
what about
no
Sunday?
red. Sunday, I didn't drink much at all, really.
It was a horrible day.
It was a horrible day. Took the kids to the beach in the morning with the dog, funnily enough.
A bit of fresh air.
And it was absolutely awful. I mean, it was. You'd think it was October or something like that.
It was.
I had to get a cup of coffee at the beach to warm up.
Yeah.
And then there was more kind of stuff going on in the afternoon, lots of kid-related type stuff. And I think I had my first drink probably around about the same time as at dinner, I think, about 8 o'clock. So I didn't even have a whole bottle.
Now what about this here? This is from one of those sort of agony aunt type things, okay? Which I came across
still about
as
pets,
doing.
or
Yes, still about pets, yeah. My girlfriend has said it is her or the dog. I don't want to lose either, and I'm so miserable I can't sleep. I always felt there was something missing in my life. I'm 23, and when I saw this Rottweiler puppy, I mean, I wouldn't have a Rottweiler puppy under any circumstances.
They can grow up into slightly sort of more difficult grown dogs.
When I saw this Rottweiler puppy, I realised I'd found it. He's a year old now, and we're inseparable. We go for long walks, I train him to do tricks, and he sleeps on my bed at night. What tricks do you train him to do? Attack people? Because Rottweilers do have a tendency to be...
I mean, anyone who owns a Rottweiler will say that you shouldn't be cruel about them, because a lot of what they do depends on how they're trained and what their owners are like, to be honest. But unfortunately, a lot of their owners are not very nice.
Our pal Andy Townsend has 2 Rottweilers.
Well, I bet you he would say they're perfectly behaved dogs, wouldn't he?
He said they're as soft and cuddly as any dog you can find. Now, he says, my partner's 20 and so she's sick of me spending money on the dog instead of her.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a bit of a problem for a lady, wouldn't she?
Well, maybe you should spend some money on her.
Yeah. She shouts and
maybe
the dog...
you should let her sleep in the bed with him instead of the dog.
Exactly. She shouts and the dog growls at her. He's a large animal and I worry for my girlfriend's safety. Now she's given me an ultimatum and I'm desperate not to lose either. I love them and I can't imagine my life without them.
See, look how you make fun of somebody who loves something other than himself. This is why you're such a cruel person, because you don't understand that. Here's a great tweet. I think it's his tweet of the week so far from William. He said, did Porky's mother keep him in a cage when he was young? He has serious anger issues.
What? What a ridiculous tweet.
I've got severe reservations about your upbringing. I do wonder whether they did have some kind of a cage they put you in at night, like a kennel. I think they must have done.
I'm not sure if I should even acknowledge that.
Here you go. Look,
ridiculous
Sean says this: the dog insurance bank account fund was Harry Redknapp's defence. The account was in Monaco, however.
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you the account is not in Monaco in this particular case.
Oh, where is it then?
What do you mean, where is it?
I want to know where it is.
What, you want me to give you the exact location of the bank?
I'm just testing you because I don't think this dog account
exists. I don't really
exists.
care whether you think it exists.
I think it's a bladderation account.
Have you found the missing £12,000 bank account yet?
It'll be sorted.
Will
It'll be sorted.
And what about the cat that's been bugging you? Have you killed that yet?
That's under control now. Right. That's under control.
Have you put it sort of, put poison down?
No. No, I wouldn't put poison down. I don't want to poison a cat or anything, but the cat's a nuisance. It comes in my garden, uses my garden as a lavatory.
But you were threatening to zap it up the jacksie with electricity last time you were here.
Well, it's something like that. There's this thing that I was telling you about at B&Q.
Oh, yeah.
I got one of those, and that sends out...
an electronic beeper?
Yes, that's right. But it's humans can't hear it, only cats can.
So how do you know if it works? Don't you think you've been ripped off?
No, I haven't seen
this is like the greatest thing. It was like when I was in Scotland. They came up with this thing that was supposed to put teenagers off hanging around street corners. Because, teenage ears can actually hear different frequencies than grown-up ears. Yeah. And they developed this noise, which was like a high-pitched sort of whine.
Oh, I see.
Which only people between the ages of 18 and 20 or 16 and 20 could hear, right?
And
this guy sold them to every single council in Scotland.
Right.
And I asked this councillor as he came on the radio, I said, well, how do you know what he sold you if you can't hear it?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, we're very sure that it works. I said, well, how do you know it works? Yeah. I mean, this is the greatest scam of all time. Exactly. And you've now bought something that you can't hear.
No.
So you don't know if it works?
Well, the cat hasn't been back since. But the other thing is, the owner has now finally accepted a sense of responsibility and is putting spikes along the top of
spikes on his own wall. Along her own wall?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So the cat can't get out.
Dear me.
Which is good. So we've won the battle, really. I always knew I would. I knew I would prevail because I'm smarter than the average bear, but I'm also resolute and determined when it comes to people invading my property, as you can imagine.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is that for all this alleged love of animals that you profess to have, you're quite happy to do, put ammonia on trees. You're quite happy to spray horrible stuff on cats.
No.
You're quite happy to, to force various animals into a state of extreme anxiety.
Yes, but that's what you don't understand, you see. Do you understand what the Cold War was all about?
The Cold War?
Yeah, the Cold War.
Yeah, it was. It was about people sort of swinging their genitals at each other and making out that one was bigger than the other.
No, it was about deterrent.
Really?
About deterrent.
Are you sure?
And all I'm doing is putting in a deterrent to this cat not to visit my garden again. Yeah. I'm not harming the cat. I do not threaten the cat. The cat knows who's boss because I have put in measures which make it unpleasant for that animal to come into my garden. And that's called a deterrent.
I think the cat will be back.
No, it won't.
I don't think a nuclear device is the answer.
I'll whack it with a brush if it comes back.
Oh, will you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The animal lover will whack the cat with a brush, just as long as everybody heard that. Quite a lot of tweets have come in with pictures of a dog with glasses on. I don't think people are taking it all that seriously, you know.
Well, it's... why not? I mean... Has nobody ever worked out that dogs are, made up of the same sort of physical structure as a human being, that they have eyes, and that their eyes must suffer from short-sightedness like human beings do?
I'm sure as they get older, sure as they get older, their eyes deteriorate, as indeed ours do. Yeah. But I think if you're starting to worry about a dog that's barely a year old having bad eyesight, and I think, normally speaking, when the dogs are initially medically examined by a vet, they work out if they've got any particular problems, because Labradors will often have, hips that are going to get difficult arthritic sort of problems later on in life because of the way that they've been bred over the years, and that's possible.
But you see...
But having dodgy eyes as a dog, I'm sure it wouldn't be as big of a problem as having dodgy eyes as a human.
Of course it would. If it can't see its food, if it's walking into trees...
Well, of course it's not doing that.
If it walks over the edge of a cliff...
Well, it's not doing any of that.
Dogs can do all those sort of things. And anyway, you see, because I'm so far-seeing, people tend to mock what they don't understand. Yeah, they tend to mock. I'm telling you, within 5 years, it'll be absolutely standard practice to take your dog to the dog optician.
The dog optician?
Yes, that's right, to have its eyes tested. I'm telling you.
There is no such thing as a dog optician.
And look, people
By the way, a lot of people said that you were making medically incorrect remarks about your shoes.
What do you mean?
You said they were orthodontic soles.
That's right.
I think that's something to do with dentistry, isn't it?
What am I talking about then?
I think you mean something else.
Orthopaedic?
Orthopaedic, possibly.
Yeah, could be, yeah. See, people are sending me cartoons now. They've got a dog in front of an eye chart, and the dog's going, woof, yap, bark, growl, yap. No, woof again, bow, wow, wow. But, they're making mockery of something that they don't understand, you see.
Yeah, I know.
But I understand, and I know it will happen. Yeah, I know for sure it will happen.
Well, you're so good at predicting things that you got everything wrong, haven't you? Cav says this, if Rapunzel lay down her hair for Porky to save her, he'd cut it off with a phrase, I'm not touching that, there could be germs in there.
Yeah. What was that? If somebody put what
You're not
down?
listening to me, are you?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I didn't hear what you said.
If Rapunzel laid down her hair for you to save her...
right, okay.
You would basically say, I'm not touching that, there might be germs in it.
Yeah, no, I might, yeah. Now then, another one here from Jennifer. Porky, your dog needs an eye test. It may not see correctly. And old MG says he's never complained about it. Jennifer says that's priceless. What's priceless about that? I'm only pointing out things that you should already know.
Yeah. Jennifer's come up with a good one here. Yeah. She's tweeted at IROMG, tell Porky the dog's account is at Barclays Bank.
What? Oh, Barclays. Yeah, I like that.
Have you got some kind of attention deficit disorder going on here?
No.
Barclays Bank.
Yeah, I was a bit slow on the uptake there, yeah. Now I'm looking at pictures of people sending in pictures of dogs with glasses. But, it could well happen, believe me.
Well, lots of things could well happen.
Yeah, believe me.
Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton, because there must have been times when you have either been ejected from a place due to your appalling behaviour or not allowed in because of those terrible shoes that you insist on wearing.
No, not at all. Now, I've got mixed feelings about this, right, because to start off with... Yeah. I think that the old Royal Box at Wimbledon's a bit of an anachronism, don't you? People get in there on reputation, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's very clear that, here's the question I would like to know the answer to, which I don't know the answer to. Who pays for these seats at the Royal Box?
Well, you don't pay for them yourself.
No,
You're invited.
No, I know, but do you remember Lewis Hamilton tweeted out that he'd got this invitation?
Right, the invitation, yeah.
We warmly welcome you, blah, blah, blah.
It comes...
And Benedict Cumberbatch was there, various other... Hugh Grant was there.
It comes from the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Yeah, I'm sure they do, yeah. And I was about to say to you, see, this is what annoys me. Lewis Hamilton is a man of... great standing, because he is not only the current World Motor Racing Formula 1 champion, he's currently leading this year's competition.
And he's just won the British Grand Prix.
Yeah. So that's the sort of guy who I think deserves to get into the Royal Box. A sort of guy who I don't think deserves to be in the Royal Box is somebody like that Hugh Grant, who, once made a film...
He's looking very old, by the way.
Oh, look, incredibly old. I couldn't believe it. He once made a film called 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yes, it was a very good film.
It was very good, I agree, but he's been living on that ever since.
And Notting Hill was good too.
Well, Notting Hill was all right, but I thought it was the same as 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
I actually like Notting Hill better.
He sort of plays, in my view, he sort of plays the same character in every film.
Bit of a fop.
It doesn't matter what the film's about. He just goes in stuttering and makes silly jokes about, you're not with that dreadful duck face, are you, anymore? no, she's my wife now, and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
no, I know what you're saying,
and that sort of thing.
I mean, outside of his acting profession, I'm not a big fan of his, but I think he's been in some pretty good films.
Oh, he's been, all right sort of film, but he plays the same guy. He was in Bridget Jones' Diary, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was good in that as well.
As a sort
he was a bit nastier in that.
Loose moral.
He was a bit
type,
more like. He was actually a bit more like his real self.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but he spends most of his time trying to balk against journalists, even though his whole life's been built on masses of publicity for his foppish hairstyle and that sort of thing.
Right.
So I don't think people like him are worthy enough to be in a royal box. They haven't done anything for about 20 years. But Lewis Hamilton does. However, if Lewis Hamilton turns up and he doesn't have a tie, and then he's offered a tie and says he doesn't want to wear it with his clothes.
Oh, yeah, but you see the shirt he was wearing, though.
Yes, I know,
He couldn't really wear a tie with that shirt,
except that when I saw the rows and rows of people in the royal box, I thought how stuffy and outdated the whole thing looked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anachronism, you know what I mean? What do you think?
You'd love to go to the royal box, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, definitely.
I mean, you would love to be there.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm invited.
Did you see he was wearing tan shoes, by the way?
Yes, he was wearing tan shoes.
Would you like to have a go at those?
No, because they probably cost about £800. Yours cost a fiver.
So it's an issue of money then with you? So you don't care if they're tan, you just think they should be very expensive?
No, it's an issue of style.
Well, mine are Kurt Geiger,
actually.
Issue of
style and...
which I dare say you've never heard of.
And credibility. What are they?
Kurt Geiger.
Kurt Geiger?
Yeah.
Was he the same guy who invented the Geiger counter?
No, that wasn't him, no.
Oh, I thought that was great. Yeah, I like that.
No, sadly not.
No.
But they're not made in your size, I should imagine, and they don't also make them for people with deformed feet like you. But I think he actually.
I'm just going to ignore that.
He looks reasonably sort of well dressed for a garden party.
I would have let him in. What about you?
No, I wouldn't, because if you're going to go to Wimbledon, you're going to go in the royal box. There are certain rules and regulations, and you should adhere to them. You have to wear a jacket and you have to wear a tie.
Yeah, but I think they've got to move into the modern world a little bit.
I can't believe you
would
say that.
No, I do. I've been torn about it all weekend, thinking, should I go with the tradition of Wimbledon and say...
I'm shocked that you would not have done that.
What?
I'm shocked that you would not have gone with the traditions.
Well, I just think that Lewis Hamilton is a man of such credibility that to have him turned away from the royal box does more damage to Wimbledon than it does to Lewis Hamilton. That's why.
Amber Grafflin, a young woman who I know quite well, who's the fashion and beauty director of the Daily Mirror, says high-end fashion like Lewis's obviously doesn't really cut it at Wimbledon. And that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter. She says it looks like he's wearing a shirt that costs about 190 quid from Etro.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter whether he's wearing Ralph Lauren, Valentino, Marni and Givenchy. Doesn't really make any odds. He should dress the way you're supposed to dress for that particular occasion.
That may be right. I tell you what, as old as Hugh Grant looked and as middle-aged and as sallow in face he looked, didn't you think that Bjorn Borg looked magnificent?
I did.
I mean, Bjorn Borg looked like he could get out there.
Bjorn Borg?
Yeah, that's Bjorn Borg.
You're saying Bjorn Borg?
Bjorn.
The B is pronounced Bjorn.
Yeah,
it's Bjorn. You should know that because it's the same name as the guy from ABBA. Your favourite band.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Bjorn
and
I
thought his female companion, I don't know if it was his wife, with the plaited hair, looked terrific as well.
Yeah, well,
very Swedish.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's probably because he is Swedish.
No, I meant her. I don't know whether she was Swedish.
Well, she's probably Swedish.
Well, you don't know, do you?
Well, no, but I mean, he's Swedish, so wouldn't be surprised if she was. And I have to say, he looked like he could leap onto the pitch there, put a tennis racket in his hand and get on with it again on the court. Yeah, 5 times winner.
You know nothing about tennis,
I do. I know everything about tennis. And to have won it 5 years in succession. Imagine that. Imagine having not lost a game at Wimbledon for 5 years.
I know.
It's amazing.
I know.
Absolutely amazing.
Did you like the final? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched some of it, yeah.
Some of it?
Yes.
What do you mean, some of it?
Well, you know...
I mean, it was compelling.
No, I have a busy life, and I had it on as a backdrop.
You were down at Wetherspoons, weren't you, on Sunday?
No.
It was the wrong time for you.
No, I had it down...
Collaboration time.
As a backdrop to my other activities.
What other activities were they?
Well, I was down the coast.
You were out, weren't you?
No.
You were. I bet you were out in the pub.
I was dealing with my laptop and sorting out several problems, many of which relate to yourself and the idiocy of your behaviour and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't want to go into that, obviously. And yeah, I did see in the background what it was all about. Now, the other row that is starting to raise its head about Wimbledon and women's tennis in particular is when are they going to start playing 5 sets?
Well, I mean that's been going on for a while, isn't it?
Well, no, I think it's reached a height of debate of the debating chamber now, because for so long, I mean, Serena Williams is so dominant now that she just brushes people aside. So people are saying, well, hang on, we're not getting much value for money here. Serena comes on court 2 sets later, which could take as little as an hour. They're off court, she's won.
Right.
So I think they're saying, no.
Well, funnily enough, I mean, I started watching the women's final because Serena Williams started really badly. And Muguruza, the woman who was playing against her, was actually ranked number 20, which is amazing for her to have got all the way to the final.
It is amazing.
And at one stage, she looked as if she might win the first set. So much so, actually, that I put out a tweet saying, has the Porky Jinx finally hit Serena Williams?
Oh, yeah?
But then she recovered, and she won that set, and then she won the next set
so
as well.
the Porky Jinx hadn't hit Serena Williams, that's
Amazingly not.
Yes.
Except that if Porky Jinx had hit Sharapova, who you said would beat Serena a few days earlier.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, you better get one right after a while.
Well, I think that's been unfortunate. I don't know what's wrong with Maria Sharapova. Since she beat Serena Williams when she was 17 in the Wimbledon final, she hasn't beaten her since.
I just don't think that really women's tennis could sort of survive doing 5-setters because, I mean, most of them would be over in 3 straight sets, you would think.
No.
Would they not?
I was about to say to you, the problem is it would then just exacerbate the dominance of the better players over the poorer players.
Probably.
And you're absolutely right. Serena Williams would thrash people 6-1, 6-love, 6-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that would make the women's game even less credible. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have credibility.
You're starting to sound like Sid the Sexist again.
No, I'm not.
I'm
not. No, I'm not been accused of that. What I'm saying is that there is a wide-ranging debate now, and some people like Matthew Syed, who's the eminent columnist in the Times, has actually, and a former international table tennis player, has said in his column there that there's got to be an argument now to say, well, if the women get exactly the same money, why aren't they providing this exactly the same amount of endeavour to earn that money?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the people who are paying the money are quite happy for it to be that way, I don't see that there's an argument, to be honest.
It's I'm not saying it's very easy to get a ticket for the women's final at Wimbledon, but you can still get a ticket for the women's final at Wimbledon a couple of weeks before the tournament at face value. I know that because I bought some 2 years ago and sent all my family.
But that was
my
like a
mum
hospitality package.
and my sisters. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You could never do that with the men's final. The men's final tickets are at least 10 times face value if you want to search the internet and try and get a ticket or a package or something like that.
I'd never try and buy them on the black market. No. It's not what sort of behaviour I get involved in.
Well, where else are you going to get them? You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I know that you don't mind breaking the law.
And it's not the black market.
You've had a whole history of breaking the law throughout your entire life.
It's not the black market anyway.
Look at the time.
Yeah, come on.
Look at the time. Look into the light for a minute. We are the two mics.
The
More coming up. Mics, there will be a podcast coming out a little later on this morning, probably around about 7 hours from now or so. Mr. Parry and I will be doing winners and losers a little bit later on as well. But right now we're going to talk about something very important, which is driving a lot of people crazy. And you'll pardon the phrase driving, because there's a massive war going on, Mr. Parry, as you know, here in London, between black cabs and Ubers.
Yes.
I've already had a tweet from a taxi driver that says, please don't call Ubers taxis, because they're not. But one of the latest, well, I suppose you might call them private hire cars, mini cabs, whatever you like. But John Sitton is a former Chelsea and Orient footballer.
Right.
He's now a black cab driver, and he's going to join us right now to give us the benefit of his knowledge, because it turns out that Uber wants to buy all of Tesla's self-driving cars, these electric cars, and introduce them into their various markets all over the world, because they are now in India, they're in the United States, they're in England as well. Let's find out from John what he makes of all of this. John, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Hi, to Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, very well indeed. Now, we're great supporters of the black cab industry here at TalkSport, and Mr. Parry and I in particular are. I've never been in an Uber, and I suspect Porky hasn't either, because it involves using an app, which, of course, as you know, he's not very good at. But what do you make of what's going on? How is the war with Uber going, anyway? Tell us.
Well, speaking on behalf of Mr. Parry and everybody else, I think it's sensible to also look after your money. Yeah, I think it's nothing more than a cheap publicity stunt. Before we move on to the serious stuff, the black cab trade's got one as well. I mean, driverless cars, really, if I can put it in synopsis form, it's an absurd idea by an absurd company who charge absurd prices. And in the black cab trade, originally you had the old FX4, then you had the Fairway, bless it, which was probably the best cab ever driven by a cabbie, the TX1. When I first passed out on Valentine's Day 2003, I bought a new TX2, and I'm now driving a new TX4. And the next model out for the black cab trade is going to be the TX Chitty Bang Bang.
Isn't there a deal with... Because I was talking to a cabbie a few months ago who said that there was a new Nissan car coming in, which was going to be, good for the wheelchairs, but it was very big, much bigger, automatic doors and all that. But they put that all on hold now, haven't they?
Yeah, well, but all black cabs anyway are wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
But the this is like a totally separate side issue with regards to a black cab being hybrid, if you like.
Right.
Which, like I say, it's a side issue, but I could come onto it because with the basically you've got reckless abandon by Transport for London and Boris. They've given out 84,000 minicab licences and counting.
Right.
So I think it makes a complete mockery of this so-called green issue where we're meant to bow at the altar of tree-hugging lovies. But where Uber are concerned, I mean, you've got, I take it you're both taxpayers, as
certainly are.
As all the 24,000 black cab drivers in London are. But you've got Uber, which is registered as a non-domicile company, and they're registered in the UK as a technology company and pay, as a consequence, 0% in tax in the UK. They pay, because of tax breaks, they're registered in Holland as a transport company where they get away with paying only 6% tax. And we've already heard the, Ferrari with places like, Starbucks, etc., avoiding tax. But, where individual stories are concerned, the stories keep rolling into our taxi trade newspaper. Just to cite a couple of examples, I'll give you two examples where people have been victims of what they call this price surging. And I'm going to go two examples in favour of the public and one unknown story in favour of minicab drivers, bless them, who basically, at the end of the day, everyone's just trying to get a living. But there was a young gentleman who wrote into our paper who paid £11.40 for a trip in a black cab to Waterloo. And as you may not know, Uber give out these round-robin £10 vouchers. And for the same journey the following day when he utilised his Uber voucher, he was charged 44 quid. That's his words, not mine.
From where to where?
From his place of work.
Yeah, where was
Waterloo.
that?
Well, I'm just going by what the cab fare was in a black cab, which was £11.40.
So it couldn't be far away then, could it? If he's paying 40 quid in an Uber,
what he's saying is four times the cost in an Uber, yeah?
Yes, Mike. Less the £10 voucher, so it's still 3 times what it would be in a black cab. Then there was a young lady who wrote into us who lives outside of London, but she's studying university in London. So the coup there with regards to minding her pocket. She decided to utilise her voucher, and there was a £1 surcharge. And me, along with probably loads of other cab drivers, if something comes to like £10.60, £10.80, they're fumbling around, just say, I'll write you the receipt, sir or madam, don't worry about the change, and you drive away, right? She charged a £1 surcharge, and obviously you've got to take into account things like the goings on with the internet. And I'm not sure I'd leave my bank and credit card details on any internet.
The problem is, John, right, that a lot of people that use Ubers tend to be a lot younger than Mr. Parry and I, and they're people who swear by them. No, they are. They're younger people who use them because they find black cabs to be expensive. I take your point that they're unregulated and they have this surge charge thing that can happen, and I know that was affecting a lot of people during the tube strike the other day. But the trouble is that most people who use Ubers say they're cheaper than black cabs, period. That's it.
Well, I find that difficult to believe. If you allow me to finish this story, she wrote to the taxi trade paper because she was staying with her grandmother in London, being a busy student having to go to classes. She asked her nan to get on the case, went to a website that referred her to a phone number that referred her to a different website. After 6 hours of to and fro-ing, they traced the surcharge and said, it's our error. The £49 surcharge will be refunded in 56 days. Right. Now, as three streetwise boys, if we tie it in with another story that I went away with one of my children who's a Metropolitan Police officer, and because her mate couldn't get time off of work, we went away with her to keep her company. Last night of the holiday, I'm watching Fox News, and you've got like all these different, for instances, coming out. One of them is you've got 10,000 individual lawsuits in the USA by drivers for unpaid money.
The thing is, John, these examples that you've given us, they are reckless amounts of money and all that kind of stuff. We don't have any evidence to back them up. But isn't the main argument here that we want to talk to you about is the driverless cars? Because, obviously, if we have a driverless car, there's no driver, that means you're out of a job. Isn't that the main issue that you're fighting at the moment?
Well, if I was going to sort of lean towards a bit of sarcasm, some would say that they're driverless cars anyway, because you've got like faceless
Yeah, because they're not trained. They're not trained.
Yeah, we're basically a faceless company. I mean, if you compare it with the Black Cab serving London faithfully and honourably since 1654, you've got quality assurance. I can only speak before Ken, but the version of knowledge I did was basically a medical at my own expense, a form of disclosure tracing 3 generations, checked at Scotland Yard and the CRB in Liverpool. I then embarked upon the subject matter along with cross-sections, which is a posh name for a shortcut. 35 runs giving you a general overview of London between all the football stadia. 66
problem is, though, John, listen, you won't find anybody more supportive of black cab drivers than me. However, you know, to say that that this company is not incredibly successful is wrong. Because they are. Because,
as well. A lot of them are ex-cab drivers.
Well, they are.
It depends.
I'll tell you, because I know a lot of people who use them on a regular basis, and they wouldn't be using them on a regular basis if they were getting ripped off every time they used them. You know what I mean?
Well, they also wouldn't be using them if they tapped into a program called 60 Minutes in the USA.
Well, no, they would. They would because they say hang on, John. They say they're cheaper. They say John. No, John. Come on, John. You've been talking an awful lot, John. Hang on a second.
But it's the only chance I've got.
No, you can come back on. You can come on any time, mate. You can come on any time. But the point is that, you know, if they were running a company, and I accept that there are issues in various places, they've had problems in certain countries, but you can't. I mean, you can't attack them for not running a very good service, because a lot of people use them because either they can't get a black cab, or in the middle of town when it's very busy,
and they can
go on this app and they can have somebody pick them up for exactly where they are and take them home. And so, I mean, you've got to fight them on a different front, I think.
Well, I think the front we're fighting them on is basically quality assurance and price. I disagree with you over price. Like I said, you know, it's self-explanatory. It's 60 Minutes USA. It's a 1 hour magazine.
Yeah,
program.
But John, basically they
devoted
couldn't expand
20 minutes of it. They devoted 20 minutes of it.
Well, that's in America.
Homeland.
That's in America. It's not here. They couldn't expand at the rate they've done
here,
unless...
It's also banned on the Indian subcontinent and parts of Asia because
unless
of sexual
they were
assault
giving
and rape.
value for money. And as Mike has already explained, so many people use them, they must be given value for money in many instances.
Well, they are.
That's why people use
listen,
them.
I appreciate you, John, coming on. We've got to leave it there, but we'll get you back on, John, so don't worry. You've got plenty of chances to make your case. But I just think for black cab drivers to make out that this is some kind of rogue company which doesn't pay tax, which might be true, I don't know about that, which doesn't give people value for money, which is certainly not true, and which is, you know, in some way destined to take them somewhere they don't want to go, that's the wrong argument.
But they're highly organised. Uber are highly organised and run very efficiently because they're successful. Yeah. And there's a bit of the... I'm really grateful for John coming on and talking to us like that, but there is a bit of the old dinosaur there, I'm afraid. You know, the world changes, and it's a bit like standing in the way. It sounded
a bit like, and I'm sure John will forgive me for saying this because there was a connection with the cab firms in those days. It sounds a bit like when the News International technology breakthrough happened, and all the printers said, we're not going to be able to work anymore in that way. You don't need to change systems.
I was about to say, if some of the high street retailers now had accepted shopping online 10 years ago, they wouldn't be closing shops down in the high street now. You know, the world changes, and we have to change with them. And what you can't, I mean, this is Toll Puddle Martyr territory. Yeah. You know, smash the machines because they're taking jobs away from us. Yeah. Should embrace the future, embrace technology, get on board with it, because that's what's going to give you a job in the future. And if they're driverless cars, somebody's got to organise those driverless cars.
I don't think I'd want to get in one after a night of the hen and chickens.
In years to come you will. In years to come it'll be as already in London we get onto driverless trains on the, what's it called? The
DLR.
DLR. Yeah. What's that stand for?
Docklands Light Railway.
That's right, yeah, we get on those and there's no driver on those. So eventually we'll all accept driverless cars. It'll be no problem at all. You get in the driverless car, put your feet up, have a couple of glasses of fizz and all that, and the car takes you home. Yeah. Simple as that.
Sounds good. I've already got a mirrorless car. Yeah. Anyway, I haven't got any more time at the moment. So look into the light, and we'll be back with more next on TalkSport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Oh, the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Funnily enough, I've just tweeted out a picture, by the way, of a rather nice cake that was made by
Well, where is it then?
My 8-year-old son.
Where is it? I'm told on arrival tonight that, we've got a cake and
I was gonna offer you a piece of
your
it.
little boy, has cooked it or made it or baked it
in
honour of me.
Yeah, well, not in honour of you. No, you see,
yes, you did. You said it was my cake.
Absolute rubbish.
But where is it? It's gone. Everybody else has eaten it before I got here.
Why do you turn everything into like it's about you? He made a cake because he wanted to make a cake. He didn't say, I've made this cake for Mike Parry.
Yes, you told me that he's made the cake for me.
I told you at all.
Yes,
I
you
said,
did.
There's a nice cake over there. If you'd like a bit of it, go and help yourself.
And when I went back over there, it was all gone.
Well, why didn't you have some?
Here, you've even sent out a note. I've got it here. I bought some chocolate cake in for Mike Parry. It was made by my son, so hopefully he'll have some.
Yeah.
And then you got a picture of the cake.
Yeah.
I go over to find out where the cake is, and all the fat gets in this building.
Be careful of your language.
Well, I was going to say something worse then.
I know you were.
They've all munched that cake while I was busy doing a pre-record in another studio. It's a disgrace.
Well, you should have got your hands on it earlier. I mean, the cake that he makes is in great demand. It's a very good cake.
I literally feel withdrawal symptoms from the cake because I looked at it and I thought it looked lovely.
Whenever I've ever brought cake in before, you've never ever wanted any.
No, but it looked so nice. I like chocolate cake. And by the way, I normally have a little sandwich or something mid-evening or something like that. I didn't today because I thought I'll just desist with the calories.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's a lovely bit of cake, and I've literally got withdrawal symptoms because my whole thing in my head, the receptor in my head, which says,
you're such a contradictory person.
Taste and food and all that is working overtime, and it wants a bit of cake, and I haven't got one. I'm out to send somebody out to a 24-hour
cake
shop.
Anyway.
Well, but I've got it in my head now that I want a bit of cake.
Well,
Listen,
it might have eggs in it though.
Talking about food, by the way.
What if it's got eggs in it?
What?
What if it's got eggs in it?
Well, it won't have eggs in it, will it?
Why won't it have eggs in it?
Because it won't.
How do you think you make cake?
How
do you think you make cake?
I don't know how you make cakes. I've never made a cake. But, I mean, as long as I can't see an egg, I've got a problem.
So it's not like you've got an allergy to eggs. You just don't like looking at them.
I don't like eating eggs.
Yeah, but so if the eggs in the cake mix, you don't mind?
Well, as long as nobody tells me and I'm not aware of it, it doesn't matter. It's just that,
So you've eaten cake in the past, then?
Of course I've eaten cake.
Well, then you've eaten eggs in the past.
No,
You're always telling me you've never eaten an egg.
I've never eaten an egg.
And I told you the last time we had this conversation, what about cake? And you said, well, that's simulated egg.
Of course it is. That's exactly what it is.
No, it's not. There's a real egg in this one. I watched him make it.
It is. Look, I've never eaten a fried egg or a boiled egg or a poached egg or a scrambled egg. I just don't eat eggs. It's as simple as that.
But you eat them in cake.
I want to tell you about foods because I've got a new chart here which I'm putting up at home.
And
it's the 20 best foods which keep you healthy, OK? And if you don't eat them, then you're going to die young, OK? Or die early.
What?
Die early. Right, now tell me this. Do you eat asparagus?
Occasionally.
Right. Avocado?
Yep.
Cabbage?
Occasionally.
I eat loads of cabbage. I love cabbage.
Yeah.
I sometimes go to Tesco's, I buy a big cabbage, I boil it in a pan. What are you laughing at? Well, how else can you cook cabbage?
How else can you cook cabbage?
Well, how else can you cook cabbage?
You can make soup.
Rubbish.
Have you ever had minestrone?
Life is a minestrone, wah, 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 dressed up in parmesan cheese.
Do you know that one of the main sort of constituent parts of minestrone is Savoy cabbage?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Did you not know that?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah.
You could also fry it in olive oil with a little bit of garlic, which is lovely.
Oh, I can't stand garlic. I can't eat garlic.
Well,
put garlic in everything.
Oil,
I can't eat it.
You don't have to boil everything,
no.
and to the point where it just tastes the same.
Listen, do you know why cabbage is so good? It is a nutrient-dense, cruciferous vegetable.
Is it?
Yeah, high levels of glucosinolates that boost antioxidant uptake, help to detox and protect against cell deterioration. So it's a good all-round youth-giving choice.
Yeah, well, don't you remember? Was it not the big
broccoli,
fat red tomato from the Daily Mirror? Did he not?
Jimmy Whittaker.
Did he not go on a cabbage diet one year and lose a lot of weight? There was a cabbage diet a few years ago.
Did he? Oh, I don't know. He's dead now, isn't he?
He is,
Yeah, poor old Jimmy died.
Yeah, but that's no reflection on the cabbage diet, obviously.
No, just cabbage diet didn't kill him.
No.
I wonder if he ate that cabbage soup and all those cabbage things he had in the wing of his house, which he called the Princess Diana Memorial Wing, because he funded it with the expenses he made worldwide, travelling around the world.
That's true.
For 5 years after Diana, Princess of Wales.
Well, he retired and lived in Spain, actually, so I don't know whether it was part of that particular house.
I didn't know he went to Spain, did he?
Well, it used to be the bane of my life, actually, because I ran one of the things that I did when I was at the Mirrors, I ran the Spanish edition, which in the summer is quite a big deal.
Right.
Because you would print it in Madrid and have it bussed down to, or trucked down to the south.
You have to make all the trips over to Spain to organise it.
Funnily enough, I didn't manage any of those.
Right, okay.
But then we had a printing plant in Mallorca as well, and also in the Canaries, right? So it was quite a big thing.
Yeah.
And the problem was the TV, because in order to print the paper, you had to reduce it down to either a 32 or a 64-page paper. And I know this will be very boring for you, but just bear with me for a second.
It's not. No.
And when you made it into a 32-page paper, you couldn't put all the TV pages in.
Right.
And whenever you didn't put the TV pages in, you used to get complaints.
Riots.
And he used to complain to Piers Morgan, the editor, and he'd ring him up and go, the TV pages are missing, the English are up in arms, because they all had, like dodgy skyboxes and dodgy satellite TV. And I'm like, well, what do we put in? Do we put in the Sky TV listings, or do we put in the Spanish TV listings? And the whole thing became a nightmare.
What these guys do is, because I've got a mate out there who does the same, he just literally borrows somebody's Sky TV card from somebody in England, goes to Spain, sticks it in a gas box, and all of a sudden he's got Sky TV.
I was talking to a guy the other day who came back from Cyprus, who said there was this incredible kind of illegal trade in TV boxes going on out there, and you can buy one for 200 quid, and you basically watch anything that's on around the world.
Yeah, exactly. That.
Incredible.
Right, now let's keep going. Carrots. Do you eat carrots?
Yes.
High levels of beta-carotene.
Beta-carotene,
and other antioxidants.
Yeah.
Protective powers against cancer, heart disease, high cholesterol. Wow, it's good job I eat this.
Also good for your eyes. Give it to the dog, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
In case he's short-sighted.
Yeah, it does. Helps with sight problems. Juice, eat raw, or better still, cooked. See? So they say cook them.
Yeah, you can put those in minestrone as well.
Nutrients are easier for the body to access.
If you make a carrot soup.
In soups, breads and cakes.
It's nice in salad as well. You can grate it into salad.
God, why would you put carrot in bread?
Carrot bread?
Yeah. Don't think so.
Well, lots of different kinds of
carrot cake. Now then, chickpeas. I can't stand chickpeas.
Chickpeas I love.
Do you?
Yeah.
I can't stand them.
Have you ever had hummus?
Is that that's what I'm saying. That's humus.
Humus.
No, I can't stand
Not
it.
humus, it's hummus.
Yeah, humus. I hate
Humus.
it. I had it
Sounds like something horrendous.
I had it in Israel once, and I was ill.
How about falafel?
Falafel?
Falafel.
Is that a joke? Falafel?
Falafel? No.
Is it
Well,
really
you were
a
in
joke?
Israel. You must have had falafel.
Laughable. Well, maybe, I don't know. I didn't
You've
like
never
that
had
either.
falafel?
No, I
Do you
didn't
not know
like
what it
it
is?
Yeah, it's like humus, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. What are you laughing at?
Well, it's like
It's the same
humus
stuff.
in the sense that it comes from chickpeas, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But
yeah,
it's
well,
deep
so I got
fried.
it right. So I don't know what you're laughing
Deep
about.
fried, and you put it in a wrap, or you put it in like a kebab, piece of bread with some salad. It's lovely.
Now then, horseradish.
Horseradish.
I'm not a fan of horseradish.
I'll have occasional horseradish with roast beef.
No, I don't like that. Cucumber.
Cucumber, yes.
Nothing beats cucumber for dewy skin. It's high in silica, helps keep healthy connective tissue, the muscles, ligaments, tendons, cartilage, and bones that hold you together. Oh, I must eat more of that then.
Yeah.
Right, coconut.
You don't eat any of this stuff.
I do.
You do not eat
I
vegetables.
do eat some of it. I do.
You don't. You
I
boil
do.
the cabbage until you've boiled all the nutrients out of it.
No.
Right?
No.
You don't eat carrots.
I do eat carrots.
When?
I get a bag of carrots out of Tesco's
bag of
for
carrots?
£1.
Well, like a rabbit.
Hey?
Well, how do you eat them, though?
I boil them, of course.
You boil them.
Well, of course
So
you do.
boil
What else do
all
you do
the
with
nutrients.
carrots?
Well, you can do any number of things with
Oh,
carrots.
rubbish.
I used to do a lovely Christmas dish, actually, with carrots.
Oh, yeah.
Where you put them in a frying pan and you add a bit of sugar.
Oh, yeah.
And a little bit of whiskey, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And some honey. And you cook them up and they have this really nice glaze on them. It's really lovely.
What do you do with them then?
Well, you have them as an accompaniment to your roast dinner.
Oh, an accompaniment. Right, OK. Now, coconut milk.
Coconut milk?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of coconut milk unless I'm putting it in a sort of Thai dish, or occasionally putting it in maybe a cocktail.
This says highly alkalizing. Alkalizing, is that the word? Yeah. A good source of minerals, potassium, manganese, molybdenum. I've never heard of that. Have you? Molybdenum?
Molybdenum, no.
Yeah.
Don't know what that is.
I don't. Calcium, magnesium, and zinc. And fats that fight bacteria and fungi. Right, black currants and red currants, I eat those all the time.
I eat blueberries more than I eat black currants. I do pick black currants, though, when the season is in.
Do
because
you?
they grow all around where I live.
I hope you wash them.
Of course we wash them, and you make black currant crumble, make black currants with custard.
That's
Very nice.
brilliant. That's great. Well, that's a good one. And red currants as well. I buy them in Tesco's at £4 a punnet.
What?
I buy them in Tesco's for £4 a punnet.
Yeah, okay. And what do you do with them? Just eat them raw?
I eat them with ice cream sometimes. Right. Yeah, I like them. Right, kale. Now, I've never had kale. What's kale?
Kale is a sort of is a green vegetable, really. It's a little bit like a cross between, I suppose you might say, cabbage and I don't know, really.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what.
It's very popular. It's very trendy.
It's high in cancer-fighting sulforaphane, and carotenes. It also helps the regeneration and repair of cells. Right, kiwi fruit. Now, kiwi fruit, I don't eat much. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever had it. Have you had kiwi fruit?
I've had kiwi fruit, yeah. Kiwi fruit's quite nice. I don't eat an awful lot of it, though.
Vitamin C and E, potassium, magnetism, dietary fibre. Now, mackerel. Do you eat mackerel?
I do. I love smoked mackerel.
Yeah, well, you see, I eat all these oily fishes, and you mock me for it because I eat them conveniently.
What do you mean you eat them conveniently?
Because I get them out of tins, that's why.
Yeah, but that's once you put them in a tin, they've got a lot more fat in them.
Rubbish.
Because, yeah, they have. Well, remember that picture? Remember that stuff that you had in here, the mackerel in tomato sauce that was a tin that I found on your desk? I tweeted it out last week.
Oh, God, I didn't eat that.
And the amount of sugar and fat in it kills off any of the good things that you're going to get from it.
Right, it's high in omega-3 fatty acids that help reduce cholesterol, protect against heart disease and cancer, and ease joint pain and arthritis. I must get more of that. Mushrooms. Now, I love mushrooms. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not unhappy about mushrooms.
It says go for maitake mushrooms over regular mushrooms. They offer a rejuvenating boost. Yeah,
M-I-T-A-K-E.
Yeah.
How about shiitake mushrooms?
Yes, that as well. Shiitake and matake.
Yeah,
but I don't know what they are. And anyway, you can get.
I actually have a mushroom book. Because you could go into the woods and find all sorts of different, exotic mushrooms.
I wouldn't do that if it was the last thing on earth, because I'd find a toadstool and kill myself. There's loads of things out there that are poisonous.
No, if you have a book which tells you which ones are good and which ones are bad.
No.
Always stay away from the ones with spots, by the way.
Oh, God, no. Quinoa. What's quinoa? The god of the Incas, it says here.
That's quinoa.
Oh, quinoa, okay. Peruvian grain is a great protein source.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
They're all just going to read a list of foods.
No. They're all the favourite foods. You don't eat most of them.
I just told you I eat all of them.
Parsnips.
I'm not a big fan of parsnips.
Oh, I like parsnips. I love parsnips. They're great. Especially with
so you've read out a load of things which I said I eat on a regular basis, and your conclusion is that I don't eat them.
Well, you don't much. You just make all these airy-fairy references to exotic foods.
What I don't do is take things which are full of nutrients and boil the hell out of them until they're worth nothing.
By the way, there's a rice scandal going on. Risotto rice.
Yeah, we haven't got time for that.
Risotto rice.
We haven't got time.
Well, you need time. I need to tell you these things.
Look at the clock, right? You know when we were supposed to stop.
Your timekeeping's dreadful.
Your timekeeping's dreadful.
Dreadful.
See if you can manage to keep...
whinging and moaning.
You've got 10 minutes, right? For the next
clock.
section, and we'll see whether you can manage to stick to it. This is Talk Sport.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe it's not too late.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. I'll tell you what, Porky, that guy John Sitton, very unhappy with us. Seems to think that we didn't let him speak. Well, I don't think we've had a guest on who didn't stop talking for such a long time.
Absolutely.
Some guy says to him on Twitter, "Well done, John. Despite Mike Graham's efforts to shut you down, you made some great points." John, we run a radio station here. You were on for about 10 minutes and more or less didn't get a word. We didn't get a word in edgewise. And all I was saying to you was that there are an awful lot of people who use Uber who find it to be cheaper, who find it to be better, and who find it to be something that they continue to reuse. Now, if they keep doing that, then obviously there's no point in just pretending and making points that they're illegal company, they don't pay taxes, they're not as good as black cabs, all of which may be true, but I think what you need to do is think about a different sort of approach here if you're going to try and win customers back who are using a different way of driving around London. I don't know what it's like in Manchester, I don't know what it's like in New York, but I do know people in New York who use them all the time because you can't always get a yellow cab.
That's right.
And I know people in London who use them all the time because you can't always get a black cab.
That's true. And also, whenever anybody refers to his workmates as my 24,000 brethren,
yes,
I tend to believe that it's heading off into a political direction.
Yes.
We didn't want a political direction. We just wanted to talk about driverless cabs. Anyway, enough of that.
And this is a good one here. Now, I'm going to read more of these. He says, an interview is surely about asking for opinion and letting me loose. You're now gibbering on about cake. Well, an interview is not about letting you loose. An interview is about me asking you a question and you answering it, not reading off a sheet of propaganda, for heaven's sake.
Dogma.
Mate.
It was dogma. That was the problem.
The way this is going, I'm going to be going off black cab drivers, which I'm very, very much in support of, as I kept telling you.
No, we don't do that. We are big supporters of black cab drivers.
Rest assured, two mics, thanks for not letting me finish. What was the point? I could do your job, you couldn't do mine.
Oh,
it's a very arrogant point of view, isn't it?
It's a rather arrogant point of view. Doesn't driving a black cab entail getting a driving licence and driving?
Yes, it does. You need a mirror as well, which I've got.
Yeah, and of course... passing the knowledge to find out where you're going.
Yeah.
Right, now then, you didn't let me finish talking to you about rice. There's a rice crisis.
Is there a rice crisis?
You claim to be
the last time you said there was any kind of food crisis, it was all about Ferrero Rocher.
Yeah, that's right.
And you said we won't be able to get any. And from that moment on, until even now, still, people send in pictures of Ferrero Rocher, crates of them, being shipped into supermarkets all over the country.
But that's because I raised the awareness.
No, rubbish.
Don't you understand? I raised the awareness. What was happening was that hazelnuts around the world were going up so much in price, they were going to have to curtail the use of them in certain chocolates.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't specify Ferrero Rocher.
No,
Everybody else said, that'd be Ferrero Rocher.
You said Ferrero Rocher were anyway, on the way out.
Because I raised the awareness.
And I think, in fact, since then, they've now been bought over by yet another company.
Probably.
And the Ferrero Rocher guy died, didn't he?
He did, indeed. So they're highly successful, and I recognise I was on a winner there with the success of their company. Now, you claim to be a bit of an exotic cook, right? So if you were making a risotto...
I'm not really an exotic cook.
If you were making a risotto, what sort of rice would you use?
I would use risotto rice. Arboa rice.
What?
Arboa rice.
Now, do you know about that? It's not Arboa, it's called Arborio.
Arborio rice.
Arborio rice. How do you know about that?
Well, because I've made risotto.
Right, anyway, listen, you won't believe this.
If I was going to make paella, you use bomba rice.
Would you?
Yeah.
OK, well, listen, it says here, recent poor rice harvest has sent the Arborio prices rocketing from £289 a tonne a few months ago to, guess what?
I don't know.
1,433 a tonne.
So like 3 or 4 times more.
Well, no, 6 times more.
6 times more?
Yeah, 6 times more, yeah.
Well,
okay.
risotto's going to be a bit more expensive to make then.
Well, no, what it says is, as a result of which an inferior rice called Ribe, R-I-B-E, have you heard of that?
R-I-B-E, no.
Right, is a third cheaper at £550 a tonne. So now, most of the rice that you're getting for risotto is false. It's fake. Fake basmati rice has been already found on sale in the UK.
Has it?
But this is the first time risotto rice has been targeted by fraudsters.
Well, what sort of rice do you buy?
I buy Dr. Sam's, or whatever it's called. Dr. Ben's? Is it Dr. Ben's? Is it? Uncle Ben's. Is it Uncle... Sorry, what are you laughing at?
Dr. Ben's.
No, it's Uncle Ben's.
It's the guy who bought the car from.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it's Uncle Ben's rice, isn't
Uncle
it?
Ben's, yeah. But I bet you buy that stuff in a sachet that you just microwave, right?
No.
You buy real rice, do you?
I don't use my microwave.
What, do you actually boil rice then?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's your favourite way of cooking.
No,
what's your recipe for making, rice that's flaky and never sticks together?
Well, you boil it till it's nearly dry, and then you strain it through a strainer.
Oh yeah,
right.
How much water though?
How much water?
Yeah,
well, enough water to
cover
the rice.
Do you measure it though?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got a measuring jug.
Yeah,
yeah.
So if you're making rice for yourself,
6 fluid ounces.
So you do measure?
Yes,
it?
yes.
Okay. Is that a fail-safe method then? Because a lot of people struggle with making really nice rice.
No. Listen, did you know there's a UK Rice Association?
No.
Right, the UK Rice Association is considering introducing tests for risotto rice. The association's secretary, Alex
they've got enough to do.
Said, we test basmati and we could do it for arborio. The market price has gone up and some unscrupulous person might be tempted to substitute arborio with a cheaper rice.
Yeah.
That's a scandal, isn't it?
It is a scandal.
Absolute scandal.
I haven't noticed the price of rice going up because, funnily enough, I'm having a delivery of some food later on today.
Oh, does it include rice?
And I've ordered some basmati rice.
Have you?
But I didn't notice that it was particularly more expensive than the last time I bought it. I'll tell you what, I'll check now, shall I?
Yeah, you could check it. You might be in for a terrible shock there. Now then, what do I need to talk to you about? Yeah, I need to talk to you about people who drink half pints, OK?
Hang on a second, I'm just going to check. Yeah, I've got one aromatic basmati rice, Waitrose, I think it's 500 grams, £2.89. Doesn't sound any more.
Too bad.
Doesn't sound like it's been hit by any kind of...
Yeah, but it's not arborio,
They haven't started
is
charging me 12 quid for it, have they?
It's not arborio. Is it?
Well, no, it's basmati rice.
Now, listen, what about people who drink half pints of beer, right?
What
do you think of them?
Well, I don't have a view on it. If you want to drink half a pint of beer, it's a free country.
Yeah.
I don't go around judging people in the same way that you do, right? You judge everybody in any form of life and against your own kind of your own kind of standards, right?
Okay.
If somebody wants to drink half a pint of beer because, one, it keeps them under the limit for driving a car, then they're more than welcome to do so.
Yeah.
If they only drink half a pint of beer because they don't want to drink a whole pint, then they're more than willing to make that choice. And I wouldn't have any problem with it.
I would never go into a pub and order a half pint of beer. I'd be far too embarrassed. People who drink half pints of beer are jerks, right? They shouldn't even be in a pub.
That's typical of you.
No, they shouldn't even be in a pub.
That's typical of you.
No, I'm serious because it's so ridiculous. And guess what's happening? Guess why I've brought this subject up? It's because a group of drinkers, and I think they're like these guys who join Camera and all that kind of stuff, are complaining willfully that those who drink half pints of beer are being discriminated against. Because if a pint, for instance, costs £3 and 20p, then they believe that a half pint should cost £1.60p.
Well, I suppose that would make sense, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't. But the bar then charges them £2.
Right.
And when they challenge us and say that's outrageous, the bar points out quite rightly, well, yeah, but we have to serve it in a glass. And the glass is,
why is a half pint glass more expensive than a full pint glass?
It's not. It's the point of the glass being there in the first place. You see what I mean? And because the glass is there in the first place and it has to be provided along with the ambience of the pub, along with the the...
No, it doesn't make any sense.
It does.
No.
It makes every sense. People who want to drink half pints of beer shouldn't go into pubs.
No, if they've got glasses there, right, and the two glasses are, even if they were the same size,
yes.
Why would one glass be more expensive than another? I don't understand.
No, what you don't understand is that part of the cost of putting a pub together is all the things in a pub.
How does that make half a pint more expensive than a full pint?
Because you've got to pay for the surroundings in a pub as well as the drink that you're drinking in a pub.
Yeah, but you have to pay for that no matter what you're drinking.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's not economically viable.
No. I wouldn't serve half pints to anybody anyway. If they came in the pub and if you say, oh, well, they're driving and all that, well, if try and have a soft drink, or something like that.
Would you serve them half a pint of orange juice?
Yeah, probably would, yeah, but not half a pint of alcohol.
Would you serve half a pint of gin and tonic?
If they wanted it, that would be...
So you don't object to the size of the drink?
That would be 3 large measures, actually.
So you don't object to the size of the drink?
No, I don't object to the size of the drink.
You don't object to the glass?
No.
You just object to what they're putting in it?
I object to the culture of half pints of beer. Only wimps drink half pints of beer, and I think it's indicative of the sort of person who is in your pub if they ask him for half pints of beer.
It's no wonder you had a riot going on with them. One opportunity you had to run a pub in Nottingham.
No.
It's no wonder people started smashing the place up.
For instance...
What a ghastly landlord.
No. Well, look, I was a temporary landlord. I was only 18 years of age, but I was so good at it, I was given responsibility to run it while the landlord himself was away. So that's exactly what I did, and I ran it very efficiently, and then some drunken Irishman came in, smashed me over the head with a glass. Of course, I had to smash him back, didn't I? Now, what I was going to say...
that's because you're a very violent person.
These people, right, these people who want to do all this, this half-pint drinking and all that kind of stuff, right, I think they're members of CAMRA. Now, have you ever met anybody from CAMRA?
I can tell you a better story than that.
Go on.
I once applied to be the editor of the CAMRA newspaper.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
And
very few other people wanted to employ you.
They were in St Albans. It was during that period when I'd left university.
Right.
And I was applying for any job that I could find in the back of the old Press Gazette, which used to be the Bible of journalism, right?
Yeah.
And I actually got down to the shortlist of 2.
Really?
To be editor, yeah. And I went to meet this guy.
And he beat you, some 14-year-old?
Well, probably, yeah.
Yes.
In fact, it was one of those where they said I was too young. Otherwise, they would have given it to me because they thought that I had all the right attributes.
Well, they probably knew you were a drunk.
Well, no, I went and met this guy, and I kid you not.
University time
I
drinking.
kid you not. I went up to St Albans and met this guy in a CAMRA pub, right? Campaign for Real Ale.
Yeah.
And he literally had a beard and sandals.
Yeah, well, that's what they like. I ran into a lot of them when I worked on the Chester Chronicle.
But I'm a big supporter of the Campaign for Real Ale because I much prefer Real Ale to all that horrible, nasty kind of, stuff that they pile through with all sorts of aerated gases and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I'd much prefer, if I do drink beer, I much prefer to drink that kind of beer than I do the kind of the mass-produced bottled stuff.
Well, this is you're absolutely right. It's the Campaign for Real Ale. They've got a spokesman called Neil Walker. He says, CAMRA believe that
Could have been me.
Could have been you. CAMRA believe that in order to promote responsible drinking and to allow people to buy a range of different real ales, pubs should not charge a premium for half pints compared with full pints.
I
don't
correct.
agree.
Well, for example, you might want to drink a half pint because you don't want to taste it. In good pubs,
they give a little glass these days.
They will.
Little tasting glass.
But if you say, for example, wanted to taste all 6 or 10 of the real ales that they've got, you might only want half a pint of each.
I think the whole idea is that landlords want to drive out people who want to drink half pints because they're uninteresting, dull and boring people. And I agree with that. A pub should be full of characters, not people who drink half pints of beer.
No.
You'd have to drink 10 half pints to have any sort of effect the alcohol having upon you to make you in a good mood. It's ridiculous. Should ban serving drinks in half pints.
Is that it? Finished now?
Yeah.
Is that your rant for the night?
No, it's just one of my points of view.
I see. OK. Well, sadly, we're out of time for any more. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. I've got a few tweets to read out to you, Mr. Parry. Dave says this: don't Geordies drink Newcastle Brown from a half-pint pot and top it up. Hardly a drink of wimps. Hashtag Porky Waffle.
But they buy a pint
and you don't
of
want to
it.
upset the Newcastle
No,
folk
I'm not
because we're going up there on Saturday.
We are. We're going up there on Saturday. Look forward to seeing you. Old Tyne Opera House. Magnificent theatre. I was up there last week. It is a magnificent theatre. The Phantom of the Opera could have been made there, honestly. It really is magnificent.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Well, don't go on about it.
And we're going to be there on Saturday night. Well, I'm going on about it because I want to say to you the Newcastle Brown bottle is bought as a pint quantity. And the reason that...
but they make it half and half.
No, they don't. The reason they have a half pint is because it goes right back to the dark days of the 30s, the recession and the all that kind of stuff.
The Depression, you mean?
The Depression, indeed, where two men could not afford a pint each, so they bought one bottle and had two half pints.
So in your view, those people would be, in your words, what
not
were they?
so.
What was your, deadbeats or something?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Anyway, don't upset the Geordies.
Honourable
going
people
up there. I don't want stuff thrown at me.
Some of the
most
most
might hit me by mistake
people in this country.
Carl says this, Porky's right, anyone who drinks a half or a schooner, as it's called here in Oz, does not deserve to be served.
Exactly.
Now I first came across, I'm going to tell you a story about a schooner.
You see, to point that out to you.
A schooner is a word that I first came across back in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Two of my aunties came to visit me when I was at the University of Bath.
Yes.
And I took them down to the local pub. And I went to buy them.
Two aunties?
My aunties, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were visiting me from Scotland. And, they liked a glass of sherry.
Right, okay.
So I went to the pub manager, the barman, and I said to them, what do you want to drink? And they wanted a dry sherry. And he said, would that be a schooner? And I didn't know what schooner was. I was about 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So I said, 2 schooners of sherry would be great. Yeah. And I took them over, and apparently a schooner of sherry is a massive drink compared to what you would normally have.
Well, it's just like a large sherry.
Well, it was a very large sherry.
Yeah.
And they got
completely... Yates' Wine Lodge?
No, I was in a pub in Bath.
Oh, right, okay.
I can't remember the name of it actually, but it was by the Weir anyway.
Yeah.
And they got completely bladdered on this schooner of sherry.
Yeah, I would imagine
they weren't used to having such a large measure.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I ever came across the word schooner.
Really?
When it comes to sherry, yeah.
No, schooner it's like a half pint. I remember in the Lord Nelson pub in Sydney. I went there with Frank Thorne. Remember Frank?
I do indeed.
Yeah, that's right.
He's still alive. What do you mean you remember him? He's not dead.
No, I know, but he hasn't been in this country for a long time.
I know. But
he emigrated to Australia when he met an Australian barmaid in a pub in London. Decided to go down under. And we had, instead of buying pints or glasses or anything at lunchtime, we bought each other bottles of wine. So he was having, like, the beef, and he had I bought him a bottle of red, and I was having the fish, and I had a bottle of white. And then we hadn't even finished the food when the drink ran out, so he went and got a bottle of white and a bottle of red, and so it went on all afternoon,
Right.
And it was that occasion upon which I had to put him in the bath back at my hotel, the Hyatt on the Rocks, which is Sydney's most celebrated hotel,
right.
Because he was rather ill. And the Australians have a way of dealing with it. They just put him in a bath and leave him there. So that's fine. But the reason schooner comes into that is because in that pub, of course, they sold half pints of beer. In the Australian vernacular, it is schooner. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have that in Australia, obviously, if you went there.
What?
You wouldn't have a schooner if you went there.
No, I wouldn't have a schooner, no. Now, you know what... the general conception is, Mike, that you need more exercise all the time because...
The general conception? Do you mean the general... you don't mean the general conception?
Yes, I do.
Perception?
Yeah, perception, conception.
When you say general perception,
yeah.
Which people are you talking about?
Well, anybody who sees your body mass, your body form, the way that the crowd jeered you at the Hen and Chickens last Friday night because you're so fat.
What you read, if you read the tweets after each show that we do, people are always quite surprised at your shape because they say that you spend so much time banging on about my shape that they expected you to be in slightly better shape yourself.
Oh, really?
And what they say is that you're a very odd shape. You're much shorter than you pretend to be.
Oh, rubbish.
And in fact, you are probably much less healthy looking than I am.
Rubbish.
And most of them say that I dress very well, I look much fitter, and in fact, generally speaking, I'm a much better looking bloke.
You know, you talk about being well and all that. You know, old Rory's going to miss the Open.
It certainly is.
Now, I've got a mantra.
Even though you said that it was a great thing that he was doing playing football with his mates.
Well, I think it is a great thing. You know, when you're the most famous golfer in the world, and the world's number one at golf, to be...
I don't think he's the most famous golfer in the world. I think Tiger Woods is probably the most famous golfer in the world.
All right, well, he's number one golfer in the world at the moment. He probably won't be after the
He won't be if Jordan Spieth wins the Open.
Yeah, but he is at the moment. But he's injured. Now, and to be so natural a lad that you just go out and play football with your friends, you know, and not surround yourself with bodyguards and all that, I think is a magnificent thing. Now, what I was going to say was... in all the build-up we've seen this week, the one thing missing is Rory.
Yeah.
And that's an old mantra of mine. It's an old adage I have.
What is it? Is this in addition to the first should be last and the last should be first?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're not winning, it's because you're not trying hard enough. Don't get ill, you'll get forgotten. Right?
Yeah.
That's a mantra of mine. Don't get ill, you'll get forgotten, OK?
Don't get ill, you'll get forgotten.
Yeah, once you're ill and you're out of the game, the world just passes you by. The world has no time for unwell people, no time for ill people. If you're in hospital, tough luck, pal, the world goes around without you.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, perhaps the most tragic case... you can think of this, and there's not a flicker of humour in this at all, is the Michael Schumacher case.
Yeah.
You know, it was a big story when Michael Schumacher first fell over and bashed his head, and we all wait for him to wake up. He never has woken up since that terrible day, and now the world has sadly just forgotten about Michael Schumacher.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I think it has largely,
but
I mean,
it's not a daily news story anymore.
Yeah, but more realistically, what I'm saying about the Rory one is all the focus of attention is on Spieth, where it would all be on Rory because it's his home competition and he's the holder of the claret jug, and yet not a word about him. don't get ill, you'll get forgotten.
He's not in the competition.
That's what I mean.
I've been reminded that Michael Schumacher spoke his first words, actually, the other day since coming out of a coma.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that, and that is really, really great news. I think it'll be a very long path to recovery if everything I've been reading has been correct. But, I pray to God that it happens and happens successfully.
But, that's the thing. Rory McIlroy has cost himself possibly the number one position in the game. He's cost his sponsors an awful lot more money because they would have been expecting to see him on television throughout the tournament.
It's cost the quality of the competition,
regardless of how it's cost the quality of the competition. It's cost the fans
because he's number one in the world and he's the holder.
There'll have been a lot of fans who have booked themselves into hotels, who would have travelled to St Andrews for this week and have booked it ages ago because they wanted to get up close and personal with Rory McIlroy. That's why I said at the time, which you disagreed with, that it was an incredibly irresponsible thing for him to have done.
I can't agree with you at all. I think it was a wonderful thing to have done. And guess what I saw, by the way, when I was in Portsmouth yesterday?
What did you see?
Well, I looked up at the Spinnaker Tower, that one that overlooks my veranda.
The one that you got the height of wrong when we asked you in the quiz.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you did.
And everybody's staring up, and I said, what's happening there? They said, a lady's abseiling down there.
Yeah.
And I said,
she was like 90-something, wasn't she?
101.
101, yeah.
And I said, so what's new? I said, it happens every weekend. I said, no, she's the oldest ever abseiler in the world. It's a world record. I said, how old is she?
Not bad,
is
it?
She said 101.
Incredible.
Blimey, my mum is 80 plus, right? And I wouldn't let her abseil down the side of the Spinnaker Tower for love nor money.
But if this is a woman who's very strong-willed and has done it several times, then
she hasn't.
Perhaps
First time she's ever done it.
Nobody would ever actually stop her from doing it.
But it's an amazing thing to see, and I thought to myself, are you all mad and irresponsible? That poor old lady suddenly drops like a stone. Won't be much left of her by the time she hits the ground 300 feet down.
Well, she didn't know. She successfully abseiled down it and made a new record.
She did, yeah.
So you should be taking your hat off to her.
Well, I suppose
would you rather stop people from enjoying themselves?
No. I suppose I would, but
maybe you should do
nevertheless,
it. I don't want to bring this up because I know that it's not yet been organised. But I'm getting a lot of grief on Twitter from people saying we haven't heard much about the Bournemouth pier jump lately.
I want to jump off the pier, but they won't let me.
Yeah, but you're going to have to do something though.
Well, I've tried to.
Well, you can't not do
come
anything.
Up with forfeits and all that kind of stuff.
But you can't not do anything
yet we can do.
But you'll have to come up with something.
Well, I can't jump.
Season's only like 3 weeks away.
I can't jump out of a plane and do it parachute because I can't get cleared for the jump and all this kind of stuff.
What do you mean you can't get cleared?
Can't get cleared for it.
What, by the local airspace?
By local airspace and all that kind of stuff. You need a training course to be able to. Even if you're going down with somebody else in a parachute, you've got to have a basic training course.
That's rubbish.
Yes, you have.
I flew over Bosnia with the American Air Force, and they went, if we get shot down, you're jumping out. Here's a parachute.
Yeah, okay.
And they gave us a 20-minute talk on how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that was in a war zone. That was in a war zone. Yeah. I'm talking about how you have to jump, dip, roll. When you get down and hit the ground, all that kind of stuff. You've got to learn all that.
This guy was like, "Don't worry about that, because if you manage to miss the trees in the mountains, you'll be doing fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And you won't land dead.
Yes.
But we got lots more to do. We got winners and losers coming up very, very shortly. Yes. Mr. Parry said that he wants to stay with being favourited, and I'll stay with being retweeted.
Yes,
I don't
definitely.
mind. I'll play any competition against him. It's not a problem.
Definitely.
This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
A couple of tweets to read out to you.
Yes.
Loads and loads of things coming in which I haven't caught up with yet. Joe in Lewisham says, "Hi, Mike and Mike. Best of health and happiness to both of you. Chickpeas are rank but are transformed in hummus. Raheem Sterling will get Pellegrini the sack even if he wasn't involved in Manchester City signing him. They paid about £35 million for the kid who is unproven." And then he says, "Keep up the good work."
Yeah, that's absolutely true. All of that is absolutely true. Now, listen, I want to talk to you about treadmills, right? Because I've come across this report. Now, when I go to my hospital, where I'm an outpatient, Harefield, which is one of the world's top thoracic heart surgery units, right?
Thoracic Park, I've referred to it as before.
You have, indeed, yeah. It's cardiothoracic, and it's one of the top units in the world for it, okay?
That's why I go there. To hear it.
That's why I go there. I get the best, and it's good. It's great. They're brilliant people there. Now, part of the regular checkups I do is walking on a treadmill, okay? Right. And I've always been surprised at how much detail the guy who's conducting it gives you about the safety aspect of a treadmill.
What do you mean?
Well, there are bars around it. You've got to hold on to the bars. Right. You must let go of the bars.
Because you've seen those films of people like running on them, and then suddenly they make a misstep or something, and they fall off.
And all that kind of stuff, but also worse. But
I've done. Do they attach things to you as you're walking?
Oh yeah, got all
sorts
that.
of sensors and things.
Absolutely, about 16 of them.
Really?
And all parts of your body and your heart and everything, and you have a mask on your face.
A mask?
So, yes, because
what sort of mask?
Well, the oxygen goes into another machine which calibrates your lung capacity and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Which presumably in your case isn't very much.
Well, only 1/3 of my heart works.
Yeah, but how about what sort of portion of your lungs work?
The heart supplies the blood to the lungs, so only about 1/3 of them as well, probably.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
well, at least you've got 2 of those, though.
At least got 2 of those, yeah. But, I don't moan about it. I don't like to talk about it, actually.
No, I know.
Anyway...
so are you thinking of why don't you get a treadmill at home? Because you were going to get exercise bike at home, but then you sort of flummoxed it.
Yeah, I did.
To get it in
I did, yeah. Well, I was thinking about a treadmill, but I've read some terrible stuff this afternoon. Right? I was researching other stuff. 3,500 people a year badly injured using a running machine or a treadmill. And
but that'd probably be running on them rather than walking, right?
No, do you know what it is? Here, I've got one example of a terrible injury, right?
Yeah.
This woman goes into a gym, a local gym in South Manchester, and she gets changed and she goes towards a treadmill, and as she stepped on it, she was immediately flung into the air, came down, banged her head. Her face and arms suddenly were causing her intense pain. Yeah. And what she'd done is she'd walked towards the treadmill, which somebody else had been using, but the person before had been using it had put it on at its highest speed. And so, as she approached it, it didn't look like it was moving at all.
Oh, I see.
Because she couldn't see it moving slowly.
Well, you've got to be a bit more cautious than that, haven't you?
The point is, it was moving so fast, you see what I mean, that it looked stationary. So the minute, of course, you can imagine, she put a foot on it, whoosh, it turned her upside down, came down. She landed with her arm jammed between the running mat and the edge of the machine, and had terrible burns on her arm and shoulder, on her face and all that kind of stuff.
You'd have to say that if she was not able to see the fact that the treadmill was moving, then perhaps she shouldn't really be using the equipment.
Well, no, that's, the lighting is always sometimes a bit odd in these gyms and all that kind of stuff.
It's pretty bright in gyms,
but anyway, look, for whatever reason, she didn't do it deliberately, did she? She wanted, she did it because she was...
No, but I mean, considering how many people use these pieces of equipment on a daily basis, I would say that presumably the injuries are not very many, are they?
They are, if there's 3,500 a year in this country alone. But
that's compared to how many people using them every day, though.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many people use them.
I would suggest it's more than 100,000.
I think people who use these treadmills are largely posers, aren't they? They like to sort of, put on their shorts and
they prefer to run in
a flex their muscles and all that.
They prefer to run in an enclosed environment because it's much safer than running on the street.
Well, it's not if you get one of these machines and you lose your balance or something like that. By the way, twice over the weekend, right, I saw men in supermarkets in singlet vests. Not even smart singlet vests which fitted their body, but shabby ones, you know what I mean? Loose and flabby ones. They look disgusting.
I'm not in favour of people exposing their oaksters to the general public.
What's the oaksters?
The oaksters and armpits.
I totally agree. It was so disgusting, I left the shop on both occasions. Because you've got to remember that 99.9% of dust in the world is, in fact, dead flesh off a human body.
You've told us that before.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a horrible thought.
It's a horrible thought, but it's true. So anybody walking around in a largely grubby singlet vest, which doesn't even fit them anyway, and which is, sort of all baggy and out of shape. Yeah. I wouldn't let them in. If I was a supermarket manager, I'd have to ask them to leave. Yeah. I'd say, look, I'm awfully sorry, but for health reasons and for health and safety reasons, you must leave the shop. We cannot have people coming in here. It'd be like shaking your head and leaving dandruff all over the place. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think you should be in a place where food is being served or sold.
Of course you shouldn't.
Unless you're wearing a proper shirt.
It's disgusting.
A T-shirt's okay, but
it's disgusting. But anyway, getting back to the treadmill thing, right, because this is all part of it, because people wear these singlets, don't they, in these gyms and all that kind of stuff.
They
do. I wonder whether there should be some regulation on these things, because the machines now that seem to have replaced treadmills larger, those ones that have got steps and handles. What are they, ski machines?
Like you mean a cross trainer or something like that? Or
didn't you buy one for your first wife?
They have a Stairmaster, don't they?
You bought one for your first wife, didn't you?
She bought it for herself.
No, you bought it and installed it in your home.
No,
she used it once.
No, she bought it when I was still in New York, actually, after she had her first baby. Yeah. And it was like a cross-country skiing machine, effectively. Yeah. And so we had it was a stand-up thing, and it had two cross-country kind of ski things that moved on the
Yes.
ground. And then on the top, you used, you pulled on these 2 pulleys.
Yes.
And it was the effect of cross-country skiing, which is very good for you, apparently.
Right, and she used it every day?
No, she used it every day for a while. But
Yeah.
like a lot of these things,
Yeah.
after a while,
You just lose interest,
it soon
yeah.
became a sort of a place to hang your clothes.
Sure, but don't you think that they
But
should...
the thing was we moved it. So we brought all the way
Yeah.
over to London when we moved house.
What, you shipped it over here?
Yeah, shipped it to England, yeah.
What did you do that for?
And, well, because we shipped everything.
Complete waste of time.
I know,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if it was ever re-erected at any point in any of the houses that we lived in England.
So it just like stayed in the corner in bits and pieces.
Yeah, I think it just stayed in its box.
Yeah, in the box.
And I never used it. I mean, I'm not interested in doing that.
Well,
sort of
it's obvious
exercise.
you didn't use it. You haven't exercised for about 25 years.
Well, I've never exercised.
No, long, exactly, 35
I
years.
don't believe in exercise.
40 years.
I don't. Well,
45 years.
Well, I mean, I used to play a
Since
bit
you
of
last
football. I used to
exercised.
play a lot more golf. I'm not interested in doing exercise for exercise's sake.
What, just keep yourself fit? Really?
No, don't really need to.
Right, now then...
I'm relatively fit.
Now then, the US Consumer Product Safety Commission, this is where I got this from, because, of course, I keep my eye on these international reports on
Did
health
you get
matters.
one of those through the letterbox the other day?
No, I sort one out because I have to be way ahead on the health scene because of the dodgy ticker, which I don't like talking about.
No, of course.
Says that the most likely cause of a gym accident causing injuries, including broken bones, sprains, severed fingers, right? People lose
Severed fingers?
Yeah. And concussion every year is, in fact, the running machine. They've even cost some users their lives. In May, Dave Goldberg, funny that, I had a pal at school called Peter Goldberg. He went on to become a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
He's a doctor on the Wirral now. Dave Goldberg, 47, who was husband of the Facebook Chief Operating Officer, Sheryl Sandberg. We've all heard of her.
No,
right?
I haven't.
Yeah, I have, yeah. Died in a hotel gym in Mexico after falling from a treadmill and hitting his head. So,
Oh, yes, I remember that story.
do you remember
That was tragic,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Now, the thing is, they say that what people miss out on is that part of the problem is that the fast-moving belt demands your constant attention.
Yeah.
So all this idea that you can watch telly while you're doing it or read a book and all that is a no-no, because it means once your concentration's gone, anything can happen which you don't react to quickly enough.
Presumably, though,
And you're in a panic.
Presumably, like a lot of these things, if you're a veteran of the gym and if you're a veteran of these machines, you could probably do all sorts of things. I mean, you see people quite often, with the gyms overlook the station or they overlook a restaurant or sometimes overlook the street. You see people reading, you see people watching TV.
Yeah, but it says here...
if they're good at it, they can do anything they want.
No, it says here that people who do things like listen to music or watch TV when they're on a treadmill lose focus. And they equate it to, when a helicopter's flying at night and you kind of lose the horizon and you don't know the difference between the sky and the ground and the sea and all that kind of stuff, and you fly into the sea. It's like that.
When you fly into the sea?
Yeah.
What do you mean you fly into the sea?
Well, people do that. Helicopter pilots who are flying over sea often lose the horizon, and they can't tell the difference between.
Not that often.
Yes, they do. They do.
Well, when was the last time it happened?
I did a story down in Penzance when a Sikorsky helicopter flew into the sea.
Yeah.
Because that's
How many years ago was that?
Oh, that was about 30 years ago.
About 30 years ago. Yeah.
Let me just think.
That's one in 30 years then.
Yeah, probably 25 years ago.
Yeah.
No, but it happens all the time. And
it doesn't happen all the time.
Tragically,
Rubbish.
it might not even be over the sea, but tragically you read about helicopter pilots all the time who hit the deck because they don't know what... Yes, they do.
I haven't read about it all the time at all.
I'm
talking absolute cobblers.
Matthew Harding died that way in a helicopter crash.
That was at night, wasn't it?
Sadly, it was at night, yeah. He was the vice chairman of Chelsea, and a friend of ours called... I've forgotten his name.
Don't have to give his name out.
No, but he died in a helicopter crash flying home from a game at Liverpool for the same reason.
But
Tragically, they do happen.
Yeah,
that was at night as well. That was nice.
Neither one of them were over water.
No, but it doesn't matter if it's...
Well, it's a completely different thing.
No, it's not. Sky or a dark field. Dark field looks like water from, a few thousand feet up.
Really?
Yeah, it does.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, I know these things.
Now, coming up next, I hope you've got yourself ready for it, because it's time for Winners and Losers on TalkSport.
Oh, yes.
It is that time of the week when Mr. Parry and I pit our intellectual giant abilities, I suppose you might say, against each other and pick the three.
You stumbled on your words there.
I did, yeah, because I didn't want to insult you. I was thinking of me giant, you pygmy, and it confused me.
No, you got it all wrong.
So I think it's time now to you want to be favourited again, and I'll be retweeted again.
Okay.
We'll put out a tweet at the end of the competition, which you can then vote on Twitter throughout the course of the day and up until midnight tonight, and we'll count the votes and we'll see who wins it. So it's the three losers and the three winners of the weekend. So would you like to start with your three losers of the weekend?
Okay.
Why not, indeed?
Right, okay. My losers, right?
Yeah, go on.
Number one, Tim Henman.
Tim Henman.
I think he's the most hopeless tennis pundit on television. I'm sorry if I sound rude and harsh, but I'm afraid he states the obvious to me. He's not firm enough with his opinions in the way that John McEnroe is.
He doesn't really have opinions, does he?
No, he doesn't. No, and John McEnroe, brilliant tennis co-commentator. Of course, we couldn't have him for the final because he would have been attached to an American.
Yeah, well, he works for the American. I think it's NBC or ABC or something.
Exactly, and the BBC only get him when he's not scheduled to appear on American television for the different timescales. So we couldn't have him for the final. It was a terrible shame.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid Tim Henman goes down as that. I'm not sure if he'll survive another Wimbledon, Tim Henman. Other people are coming through. Now, my second one is Ian Poulter, OK?
Ian Poulter, the guy that helped you learn how to play golf?
Yes,
and you played a round of golf with?
Yes, but I have to say, I was a bit dismayed at Poult's sort of build-up to the Open. He's been posting snaps of his oldest son, Luke, in the Old Course's famous Hell Bunker, OK?
Yeah.
3 years since a win, no major, and a miscut at the Scottish Open that we've just seen, right? Yeah. And he's going to be in the Open Golf this year without a hope in hell of winning, OK?
How can you say that?
Well, he's got no hope of winning whatsoever. He's in terrible form. He missed a cut at the Scottish Open. He hasn't won anything in 3 years.
Yeah.
Now, this is the man who, more than 3 years ago, gave the famous interview in which he said, very soon it'll only be Tiger and me competing for all the major championships in the world.
He's been very good in the Ryder Cup, though, always, hasn't he?
Well, he has, but that's always been his saviour, hasn't it? He's been a great competitor.
Yeah.
But he says, I love this place. He's talking about St Andrews, where I played my first major 15 years ago. But he's never made an impression on the majors. He came second once in 2008.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but although I love him as a bloke and I think he's great, and I have met him and all that, I have to say that when it comes to the Open...
Well, I'm sure he'll appreciate your kind words. If I was anybody out there listening to this, I would start putting a load of money on Ian Poulter. The Porky Jigs in reverse. Good work.
Well, you say that, but he's always flattered to deceive. And I wish he had won a major trophy, but he hasn't. And the third one is getting away from sport, but this is important. It's Justin Bieber, right?
Yeah.
Because Justin Bieber...
Justin Bieber's a loser.
He's a loser.
Really?
He's a loser.
Right.
Yeah. I've just
I thought you'd admire him for being so wealthy at such a young age.
No. Well, I do. I admire him for being so wealthy at such a young age and being successful and all that. But I did not realise that part of his fame involved him presenting a picture of his anus on... what are you laughing at? A picture of his anus on Facebook or something. I think it's on Facebook.
A picture of his backside, is that what you mean?
That's his anus.
Well, no, it isn't.
Well, it's his bottom.
No, well, that's preferable.
Right, okay.
You'll upset people.
He put this snap of himself naked from his holidays in Bora Bora on Instagram.
Really?
On
Bora
Instagram.
Bora?
Yeah, Bora Bora.
What, in Afghanistan?
No. Bora Bora's an island.
Isn't that the caves they're trying to blow up?
Yeah, well, I think it was actually, yeah. But there's some other place called Bora Bora.
Oh,
it must be Paradise Island or something.
Okay.
Right, 1.7 million people, said they liked the picture.
1.7 million?
Yeah.
They liked it, and you're calling him a loser?
Of course I am. You don't go around flashing your bottom to the world, particularly when impressionable young girls are looking at you all the time, OK?
Well, I think that's precisely how he's made his money, isn't it?
Well, the reason I've branded him as a loser is he's finally accepted it was inappropriate, and he's pulled the picture down. He's taken the picture away.
OK.
I didn't take into account there are little people following me as well. Love you guys.
That's true, yeah.
I'm sorry that to me is the act of a loser.
OK. All right, well, I think my three are going to absolutely wipe the floor.
No, I don't think they are.
My first one is Iker Casillas.
Who?
Right? Not because... What do you mean, who? Have you ever heard of him?
Of course I've heard of him. He's a goalkeeper.
He is a goalkeeper. Do you know where he's gone?
He's gone to Porto.
He has gone to Porto.
Yeah.
And do you know why he's a loser?
because you would say Porto is not as glamorous a club as Real Madrid.
I wouldn't say that. His mother would say that. And his mother has been defending him and basically slagging off Real Madrid, said that the president, Florentino Perez, orchestrated a smear campaign against her son, described Porto, where he's going, as a third-tier club, said that she'd rather he went to Barcelona, where the people act as gentlemen, unlike Real Madrid, where they have a lack of reverence towards their former captain. And she might have a point, but I think the last thing you need when you're a man of his age is to have your mother sort of sticking up for you, don't you think?
Well, I would say it's his mother who's the loser, not him.
Well, no, he is, because his mother is, you might say, a fine woman, but I think he's a bit embarrassed by it all. My second loser is Australian cricket. The Australians came here very, very full of themselves, thinking that they could take another 5-0 victory in the Ashes, and they're now starting to make noises about how well, the England.
I think that's a very loose and flabby choice.
160. I don't think even you would have predicted a 169-run victory in the first Test, which didn't even end up running till Sunday. When you were moaning about it started on Wednesday. And my final loser is Raheem Sterling. I don't think Raheem Sterling will be able to handle the fame, the fortune, or the scrutiny that he's going to be under at Manchester City. And as much as he's now currently staring into what looks like a very healthy bank balance, I think he's going to find that the amount of kind of scrutiny that he's going to be under is going to leave him incapable of being able to fulfil whatever potential anybody at Manchester City or elsewhere thinks that he might have.
But I think, to be honest, that's such an obvious one. Raheem Sterling being a loser, I don't think you get much credit for that.
I don't think it is. But those are the losers. You can vote very shortly when I send out the tweet. But right now, it's time for the winners. First, once again?
No, you should go first.
You want me to go first
this time?
All right, well, my first winner, and I don't think you'll have spotted this because I think this is a great one, is Brian Toomey. Do you remember Brian Toomey?
Toomey. No, the only Toomey I know is John Toomey, who's the crime correspondent for the Daily Express.
OK. Well, Brian Toomey was the jump jockey who suffered severe head injuries and actually died for 6 seconds when his horse fell at Perth in 2013. This weekend, he regained his license. Well, he regained his license actually last month. And medical experts are saying his recovery is unprecedented.
Right.
He actually got back in the saddle at Southwell 2 years after that terrible incident. I don't know if you saw a picture of the scar on the top of his head, which he suffered, which is absolutely incredible. And the idea that this guy could still even consider getting on a horse after what happened to him, I think makes him a winner. As it turns out, the race itself didn't result in him winning it.
No.
But I think he should be applauded for having such
very
courage.
Obscure.
Not obscure at all.
Very obscure.
My second one is tennis fans in general.
Right.
Because tennis fans, I think, who watch Wimbledon,
what kind of a winner
who watch Wimbledon, unlike you, because you were too busy down at the Wetherspoons stuffing your face with fish and chips and drinking bottles of Pinot Grigio.
No, I don't think it was.
Wimbledon final this year was one of the best I've seen for a very long time.
Yeah, and I
they
saw
talked
it.
about the tie-break in the second set, which Roger Federer won, as being better than the McEnroe-Borg one from years and years ago. Incredible. And so I just think that, Wimbledon and tennis fans in general have won a fantastic victory there. And my final one is Spurs fans. You know why? Do you know why Spurs fans are winners? Not because they've got a new stadium which is going to be shared with the NFL, not because they've suddenly got a new idea about who they're going to bring on, but because Hugo Lloris is not going anywhere, which is one of the things that they feared the most, because he's now broken his wrist.
Yeah,
he's not going to be able to go.
Amazing.
Not only going to be play for Spurs for a while, but he's not going to be able to be sold to anybody either. So I think Spurs are winners on that front.
Very weak.
You got
and
three
flabby.
better than that?
I have. And they're quite obvious, but they're so obvious. That if you didn't look intensely, they'd whoosh over your head.
Would they?
Right. The first one, Joe Root, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, he got 10 out of 10 for his 134 for England. If he hadn't dropped a catch in the when we were
so he dropped a catch, so he's a winner.
No, he scored 134 and rescued England from certain defeat. That to me is the sign of a true winner, a true leader, a true hero. The second one, again obvious, but it's got to be she's got to be put down for it. Heather Watson, who took Serena Williams almost to the point of defeat.
Heather Watson, who lost.
No, because she's made us feel proud about women's tennis again, OK? Heather Watson, who very, very nearly demolished the greatest female tennis player of all time.
How could she be a winner if she lost?
The third one,
How could she be a winner if she lost?
And the third one, to contrast with what I've said about Tim Henman's ability as a tennis pundit, I've got to say, Andy Roddick is the new up-and-coming tennis pundit.
That's very lazy, though.
No, it's not.
Very lazy.
I thought him and his...
chosen the same situation
him
and
his
one
box.
winner and one loser.
Well, exactly. The contrast was very, very stark between the two of them. And Andy Roddick, I thought, was brilliant. We'll see a lot more of him, maybe at the expense of Tim Henman, because he was excellent. They're my three winners. I vouchsafe to this house that
it's not the House of Parliament, nor is it the Oxford Union.
The competition.
I don't think so.
That has won the
we shall see. I mean, we were all very surprised last week when you won because
yes.
your winners and losers last week were even more useless than those.
No.
But we shall see. You can now vote. I've just put the tweet out. It is, of course, retweet for me, favourite for Mike Parry, 8 to win winners and losers.
Yeah.
I'll give you an updated running vote as we go throughout the show, but the vote will be open till midnight and we'll reveal the answers and the winners in the show when it starts at 1 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Loads more for us to do, though. This is TalkSport.
Oh, this is how you load a dishwasher. This is how you load a dishwasher. GE, Frigidaire, Bosch, or Whirlpool, or any kind of dishwasher. Well, I like to put my cutlery in the basket facing down, so my hands never touch the parts that go inside mouths. But other folks with cleaner hands put them facing the other way, so the jets of water catch them better with their spray. Oh,
this is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. Bizarrely, I've found a guide to the correct way to load a dishwasher, which I'll tell you about in a minute.
Yeah.
But how about this?
Well, do you know about it?
Lewis has tweeted this. Well, I know about it because I don't have a housekeeper who loads my dishwasher for me.
Right.
Because I presume when you live on your own, you only load your dishwasher about once a week in order to actually use it. Because why would you bother using it like every day when you only use one plate?
Well, no, that's absolutely true. And what is?
So why do you even need a dishwasher?
So why are you condemnatory about that? Why are you dismissive about that?
Well, I'm saying you don't even need a dishwasher. Which
idiot would put on his dishwasher every day using hundreds of gallons of boiling hot water to wash one plate?
Well, that's the point. So you don't really need a dishwasher, do you?
You do.
I mean, the reason you have a dishwasher is when you use an awful lot of cutlery and use an awful lot of plates and use an awful lot of pots and pans and you cook, which you don't do.
You have the weekly wash, right?
You have a weekly dishwash, do you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So do you leave it all in there kind of dirty then and then wait until the end of the week?
No.
Where do all the plates go?
They go in the racks, but you rinse them first before you put them in. I always do that.
The last recommendation on that was not correct, actually. And here's the secrets of having sparkling dishes, right?
Yeah.
So
where do you get this load of rubbish from? You'll find out that
you're getting it absolutely and utterly wrong.
Where do you get this load of rubbish from?
This is from a new study that I saw in one of the papers at the weekend, right? Now, it says, 1, don't rinse before loading, just scrape off any excess food.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that.
Secondly, don't dump everything in at random, right? Thirdly, don't stack pans on top of each other.
Yes.
And fourthly, don't put lead crystal glasses in the dishwasher.
Well, I don't.
Do you have lead crystal glasses?
I do have lead crystal glasses.
And do you use them?
I use them, yes.
What, you have wine and lead crystal glasses?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Yeah, because I like drinking out of nice glasses.
Do you?
Yes.
Number 4, don't
what do you drink out of? Plastic beakers?
Well, no, I just drink out of regular glasses.
You drink out of anything get your hands on. Usually the bottle. Usually necking bottles.
Actually, not true. No, I've got crystal champagne glasses
that
I was given, funnily enough, when I bought the Mercedes a while ago.
Yes.
They gave me 4 crystal glasses. Very nice. Really? Don't leave dishwasher tablets lying around as they can harm children. We don't have to worry about that because not only do you not have children, but nobody ever comes into your house.
Yes.
So you can leave them lying around if you want.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what the correct way of doing it is?
Yeah, I know the correct way of doing it. You stack plates which all face the same way, right? And I mean, I'll tell you something. You know, here at TalkSport we have dishwashers and all that. I can never work out why some Burke puts cups in the dishwasher which are on their base. So that by the time
instead of face down?
Yeah, exactly. So by the time the cycle's finished, they're full of water.
You'd have to say there's a lot of stupid people that do that. The problem with the dishwasher here at TalkSport is that people will run it through, right? And then some people, before emptying it, will put more dirty stuff in.
Yeah.
So you never quite know whether it's clean or not.
Well, that's a problem. But what I'm saying is it's not difficult to work out how to do a dishwasher. The problem with dishwashers now when you get to a certain age is they do your back in. So they're not. So I'm waiting for the guy to invent the dishwasher that's at eye level. Do you see what I mean?
Well, I think they have done that, haven't they? You can get those smaller ones, which actually would be ideal for you because they're more kind of like they compact and they can sit on the top of your your cabinet.
No, not really. I need a full one to get the full week's wash in it and all that kind of stuff. And then you need different temperature settings for different things.
Yeah.
Non-stick pans don't need as much heat as stick pans, if you see what I mean, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's all.
I mean, a lot of the stuff on here is pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Apart from what you've just done there, which is wrong, which is rinsing before loading. It says, do wait until you have a full load to save water and electricity.
Yeah.
Sounds like you do that.
I do.
Do make sure glasses are not touching so they don't chip or break.
Well, I don't put glasses in. You don't put glasses in.
You never put glasses in the dishwasher?
No. They come out after a while. They either completely lose their sparkle.
Well, it depends on what detergent you use.
Yeah, and they're roughed up by detergent, or they actually go cloudy on you.
Now, you've said that you place cups face down.
Yes.
They say you should place them at an angle.
Well, all right,
so
same
the
thing.
water can... No, it's not.
Same thing.
No, if they're either at an angle or they're face down.
No, well, I place them at an angle because there are certain rows in the dishwasher which are at a 45-degree angle. Think of a car that's like a V6 engine, where the pistons come up at an angle of 45 degrees.
You don't know anything about
spark.
engines.
Yes, I do. And they're like that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And then it says, do stack plates by size, facing the same way.
Yeah, I told you that.
Which is pretty obvious.
I told you that.
Do prevent drips by emptying the bottom rack first. Well, that's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Exactly.
But actually, I don't always do that because you can pull.
So why do you need a guide for this? It's all common sense.
Well, Bosch
you
have
tell
put
me
the
there
guide
are
out.
Stupid people around who don't know to do these things.
A bit like the stupid people that you were just describing who get onto a treadmill without realising it's already on.
Well, exactly.
Maybe it's for them more than it is for you.
Yeah.
But what about the washing machine? You told me you were getting a new washing machine for Mrs. Mop last week.
Yeah, I've got a new one.
Was it
got
installed?
Got a new one.
What have you done with the old one?
That went away.
Was it not working, or have you sold it?
No. It's taken away. It was a used machine, and anybody can have it if they wanted it. But I wouldn't recommend anybody to have it because I've had it for about. Actually, I was working it out the other day. I've had that machine for about 7 years.
Really? That's a long time for a washing machine.
7-year-old machine. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and funny that the belt or something hasn't gone. I'm not sure they've got a belt anymore in washing machines. That was one of the great lines, wasn't it, in Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller?
Was it?
When his washing machine broke down, he needed a new belt and he couldn't afford to pay for it, you know what I mean? Because he was under the pressure of the American consumer from, having to face daily household costs. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do.
Well, have you read Death of the Salesman?
No, I've seen the play,
of course you haven't. Of course you haven't.
Well, no, I saw the play.
You know what I'm talking about,
I saw the play. There was
nodding your head sagely.
There was one of my dad's favourite plays, and in fact, there was a great production of it with Warren Mitchell as the salesman.
Yeah, Eddie...
Archie Rice, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was Lomas. Eddie Lomas.
No, it was Archie, wasn't it?
No, it was Eddie Lomas.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
I'll check that.
No,
I think it was Archie Lomas.
Willie. It was Willie Lomas.
Willie Lomas.
No, Willie Lomas. Lomas.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm certain.
Okay.
I'm certain. And you know who wrote it? It was Arthur Miller. And Arthur Miller was married to Marilyn Monroe.
He was.
Amazing. I mean, a dull...
Lived in Connecticut with her.
He did, yeah. A rather dull and sort of urbane kind of a guy who married the most beautiful woman in the world. It was amazing.
He wasn't dull. He was a playwright. He was a very interesting character, actually.
Yeah, but in himself, he was rather a dullard, I'm told.
Well, I don't know if he was a dullard.
People who knew him, you know what I mean? Yeah. But she wasn't, obviously. She was a flighty
Willie
woman.
Loman.
I said that.
No, you said low mass.
I said low
No, you said low mass. You're such an expert, you got it wrong.
No, I don't think so.
Willie Loman.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I said. But anyway...
anyway, what was the phrase?
What?
You said there was a famous phrase.
No, he berated life in general for the fact that his washing machine had broken down again. The belt on his washing machine had gone. But, I mean, I don't know why you want to, give me lessons in domesticity. You don't know anything about domesticity. I know a lot more than you.
Really?
I do know a lot more than you.
There's almost nothing you know a lot more than me about.
There is. And I certainly do with domesticity and the way...
You have a housekeeper.
Yes.
So you don't do anything?
Yes, I do. And over the years I've done it.
You don't cook?
I do.
No, you don't.
I do.
You don't. You've admitted yourself you don't cook.
No, of course I cook. I cook all sorts of things, you idiot. How do you think I eat if I don't cook?
Well, you buy it in from the Chinese, mostly.
No, I don't.
And you go to Wetherspoons and have fish and chips. How many fish and chips do you have this weekend?
One.
Only one?
Yes.
What, from Saturday through to Monday?
Yes.
That's unusual for you.
No, it's not. And anyway, I don't know why you get on your high horse about it. It wasn't actually at Wetherspoons. It was at a very nice restaurant in Portsmouth. Yeah.
Oh. You didn't send out a picture of it this weekend?
In the better part of
You didn't
Portsmouth.
send out a picture of it this weekend?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, what was the point? I mean,
you sent it out last weekend and everybody slagged it off and said it looks horrible.
Yes, I know, but
that's
point
probably
is,
why you didn't.
I was in company and I didn't want to make a fool of myself by taking a picture of the meal.
Who were you having
and
lunch with?
Oh, just people.
People?
Yes, yeah. I can't say too much.
Okay. Let me read you a couple of tweets here on the winners and losers front. Lewis says, didn't Porky use Heather Watson as a loser last week?
No, I did not.
This week he's got her as a winner.
No, I did not.
Roy says, Porky's loser's very mediocre, MG's way better.
No.
Porky's winner's so-so, MG's way above the Porkster.
Oh, come on. That's somebody who just
and
doesn't
Chase
like me
says
and
this,
likes you.
I'm sure I heard Porky describe Heather Watson as a loser after losing to Serena Williams on this very show.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Jozza says Porky is the clear winner here. Great picks.
Thank you.
Which is not entirely representative.
Thank you.
Porky was talking about a winner a week too late. Heather Watson was a week last Friday. Plank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's the end of the tournament now. It's the end of the tournament now. You look back at it and you say, wow, who was the winner and the loser there, okay?
Yeah,
That's
well,
what you
if you're not actually using current, weekend type stories, you may have to be disqualified.
Here's one here. This says it all. Once again, the clear winner. I can't understand this. It says the clear winner, old MG, once again proving he is an unimaginative dullard.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, I've got news
You're
for
a
you.
dullard.
I don't know whether you've done this deliberately.
Yeah.
But you appear to have retweeted the message.
Yes, I've done that.
That means it's a vote for me. You're a complete plank.
No.
Yeah, it does.
No,
if you
no.
retweet it, that means you like my winners and losers.
No. It means that I'm making it available to my
No, you've retweeted
followers.
it. That means the one vote that you had in this whole competition, you've just given to me.
No.
Yes, it does.
No, I don't
You've
vote
just
for myself.
retweeted it.
I don't vote for myself anyway.
You've just just voted for me. So even you think my winners and losers are better.
I haven't voted for you
You
at
have.
all.
You've
I
retweeted
haven't.
it.
No,
You've
don't understand,
retweeted
you
it. Look,
idiot.
it says here there are 29 current retweets, one of which is by Mike Parry. Mike Parry 8.
Yeah,
that's you, isn't it?
That's me retweeting the opportunity to vote for me to my listeners, to my followers.
To your listeners.
To my
have
followers.
have you got separate listeners now?
No, my followers.
You're so full of yourself, it's not even true, is it?
I didn't say listeners, I said
Unbelievable.
followers.
You said listeners.
No, I didn't. I didn't mean that.
Well, I'm very grateful for the vote.
Yeah, well...
What I could do, of course, just to even things up, is I could favourite it,
Yeah.
and then that would be my favouriting of your
yeah,
thing.
well, you should do that.
No, I'm not.
In the
'Cause
spirit
you've done this by mistake, but you can't admit it, can you?
No, in the spirit of fairness, that's what you should do. Okay?
You're a complete plonker.
No, I'm not a complete plonker,
Yes, you are.
and I resent you, pouring that sort of title upon me. It's not good enough.
Here's one from John. Mike Graham gets my vote this week because he picked Spurs fans.
Okay, well, I've got one here from Jennifer. She says, Henman as a loser gets my vote for the Porkster.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. Please favourite for Mike Parry to win. Winners and losers on the link below. Thank you. That's Mark tweeting out in my favour. So I think this is going my way.
No, well, it would have been going your way if you hadn't voted for me.
Yeah, Jozza Bozza, that's a good name, isn't it?
I've just read that one out.
Says,
I've just read that one
Porky
out.
the clear winner here, great picks.
Well, the score at the moment is 32 for me, 31 for you. Wouldn't it be great if I won by one?
Good. That's good.
And that would be your retweet.
That's good. Where do you find the score from? I can't find this.
Well, of course you can't find it because you're complete illiterate when it comes to
No,
information devices.
No.
You have no idea.
I want to make sure you're not cheating me. Where's the score? Where do I find the score?
Well, if you find the original tweet, right, and it says underneath it how many retweets and how many favourites.
Right.
It's not rocket science.
Okay, so you put out the original tweet, did you?
No, the two mics put it out.
Oh, did they? Okay, right, okay. I'll soon find that, don't worry, and I'm going to track it overnight because I think there's so much gerrymandering goes on here.
There's no gerrymandering.
There
I
is,
mean, what
all
you've just illustrated is your complete and utter ignorance of how anything on social media works. You've just voted for me by mistake.
No, I haven't.
And you're pretending that you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Pretending that you know what you're doing.
I do know what I'm doing.
No, you don't.
It's one vote which actually
it's one vote
gives my followers the ability to appreciate it from a wider audience perspective.
I see.
Don't you understand what I'm doing?
So you're saying you always retweet it then?
Hey?
You always retweet it then? If it's me?
No.
Well, why have you done it this week?
Somebody advised me to.
Who advised you?
Somebody in a note here,
So you've got some advisor now that helps you with your voting?
No, not at all.
So who's this advisor, this mystery advisor?
Here, Stephen here says, I predict Mike will win this one. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, that's probably right, since we're both called Mike.
That's true.
You are a complete plank tonight.
Yeah, that was obviously a joke, wasn't it? I didn't appreciate that, really. Never mind. Here we go.
I'm not sure you've had enough sleep.
Anthony says, vote Porky. Great picks, winners and losers. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to endorse that view to everybody listening out there, all you millions of people out there. Two things to say to you. One,
no, what you
vote
should
for
do,
me.
right? Tell them to retweet it so that all their followers can then vote.
No,
why don't you do that?
Vote for me and vote often. That was the call in the actually in the 19th century when they're trying to get rid of the rotten boroughs. Yes, go and vote for me and vote often.
Yeah.
And the other one is we'll see you all on Saturday in Newcastle. I hope you're going to be there. It's going to be a great
What are you
night.
doing for the rest of the week? You're not coming in then?
Of course I'm coming in,
Well,
yeah.
why are you saying we'll see you on Saturday?
Well, because we're not physically going to see our listeners between now and Saturday, are we? But we will see them from the stage on Saturday.
Yeah, but we'll be talking to them again tomorrow.
Of course we'll be talking to them again tomorrow. We're staying at a hotel...
Don't say where we're staying.
In the city centre.
Why do you want to say where we're staying?
What? I haven't told them.
Give everything away all the time.
No, I haven't. I'm just
Unbelievable.
We're going to be about
I'll
town,
tell them where
that's all.
you're staying, and then I'll stay somewhere else.
No, you can't. It's all sorted now.
Yeah, well, you'll probably do another disappearing act. Anyway, to be Porky, Ask Porky coming up tonight. You can still vote, of course. Follow us at the Two Mikes, and you'll find the original tweet. Don't worry about Mike Parry voting for me. I'm sure it won't make any difference at all in the long run. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes.
Look at the light! Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the Two Mikes. How do you know your dog can see all right?
Well, because you can.
No, how you don't know that? You don't know that. Why haven't you had his eyes tested?
Well, how do you test a dog's eyes?
You go along to a vet
and
and
an eye chart. And ask him to go. Is that how you do it?
Don't be so ridiculous. You go along to a vet. You go along to a vet and you get a vet to look into his eyes. What a nonsense are you talking about?
Well, maybe the vet has looked into his eyes. You can see a rabbit at 200 yards.
You don't know that. Your dog might be short-sighted. It might be long-sighted.
Well, he's never complained about it.
He might have one of those things you have in your eyes, cataracts.
It's okay. He doesn't need a driving licence. It's not a problem.
Then some drunken Irishman came in, smashed me over the head with a glass. Of course, I had to smash him back, didn't I?
If you love the Two Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.